As we begin this gentle exploration, imagine yourself settling into a place of rest, where the world outside quiets, and only the calm rhythm of learning remains. Tonight we drift together through the fascinating world of muscles, not with urgency or demand, but with the kind of steady curiosity that soothes the mind, while nourishing it with understanding. The subject of muscles is vast, stretching from the strength of the limbs that carry us through the day to the invisible, constant contractions. And yet, when spoken of softly, muscles are not simply instruments of force. They are threads of harmony, woven into every moment of movement and stillness, guiding our breath, shaping our expressions, and maintaining the balance that allows us to stand and rest in equal measure. The purpose of this lecture is not to test memory or recall, but to provide an atmosphere where knowledge is absorbed with ease, gently and naturally, as though it were a lullaby of science. In the quiet of this moment, we will allow the body and mind to soften, and in that softening, the intricacies of the muscular system may settle comfortably in your awareness. Over the course of 2 hours, we will walk slowly through the structure and function of muscles, their types, their energy, and their role in everyday life. Each thought will unfold gradually, like ripples in still water, leaving no need to rush, only a continuous flow of calm explanation. To speak of muscles is to speak of life itself, for without them, the body would be motionless, unable to act, unable even to hold itself upright. Muscles are the partners of bones, the companions of nerves, and the silent drivers of circulation and breath. Every gesture, no matter how small, is the result of muscular action. When you close your eyes, when you shift slightly in your bed, when your lungs rise and fall as you breathe, each of these moments is possible because of the quiet, ceaseless work of muscles. And so, to learn about muscles is to deepen one's appreciation for the body's constant devotion to keeping us alive and connected to the world. As we begin, consider the atmosphere of learning itself. In many settings, learning is linked to alertness, to bright lights, to focus, sharpened like a blade. But here, learning takes another shape. It is soft, flowing, and undemanding. You need not strive to remember or grasp every detail. The mind, like a sponge, takes in what it will, while the rest drifts like gentle background music. The more relaxed you are, the more easily the ideas will sink in. Just as muscles do not always need conscious thought to perform their work, such as the heart continuing to beat while you sleep, your mind too can absorb knowledge without effort. This is the nature of sleep learning, where information is received in a calm, dreamlike state, and memory is nourished in the quiet spaces of the mind. Muscles, in many ways, mirror this process. They can work voluntarily when you choose to move an arm, stretch a leg, or smile, but they also work involuntarily, independent of thought. Your diaphragm expands and contracts to draw in air. The tiny muscles of your intestines squeeze food along your digestive tract, even while you are unaware. The heart beats, without pause, from the first moment of life until the last, through days, nights, and every quiet hour in between. This balance of voluntary and involuntary function, of conscious control and automatic rhythm, is a reflection of the dual nature of the human experience, both awake and asleep, both active and resting. In the beginning, it is helpful to understand that muscles are not isolated parts, but rather an integrated system, deeply connected with bones, nerves, blood vessels, and organs. The human body has more than 600 muscles, each with a role, some large and obvious, some small and almost hidden. Together they create movement, stability, circulation, and heat. When we think of muscles, we often imagine biceps, triceps, or calves, the muscles that swell and stretch with exercise. Yet so many other muscles work in silence, unnoticed. The tiny muscles around the eyes that allow a blink, the muscles of the tongue that guide speech and taste, the smooth muscles within arteries that regulate blood pressure. Each is as vital as the next, no matter its size or visibility. To open this journey, let us focus not on the complexity, but on the wonder. Muscles are the reason the human form can dance, write, walk, and rest. They grant us both strength and gentleness. With them, we can lift heavy objects, but also cradle something fragile. With them, we can run with speed, but also remain perfectly still. They are versatile, adaptable, and enduring. And unlike a machine that wears down from use, muscles often grow stronger with activity, provided they are given time to rest and repair. They are living tissues, capable of renewal, growth, and resilience. As you breathe deeply now, notice how the body itself becomes a teacher of muscles. The expansion of the chest, the gentle rising of the shoulders, the quiet rhythm of inhaling and exhaling, all of these are performed by muscles. Though you do not command each contraction consciously, the muscles act in harmony with your nervous system, creating life's most essential cycle, breath. And when you exhale, feel the soft release, as though the muscles too are sighing in contentment. In this way, learning about muscles becomes not just an intellectual exercise, but a lived experience, a reminder of the body's constant symphony of movement. As this part of the lecture unfolds, let us hold a simple thought. The purpose of exploring muscles is not only to understand them, but to appreciate them. Every time you shift in bed, every time your lungs draw in air, every time your heart beats, your muscles are quietly affirming life. They do not seek recognition. They do not require praise. They simply continue, tireless and patient. And so, as we embark on this 2-hour journey together, we will honor that quiet work with equal gentleness in our words and thoughts. This lecture will flow in parts, each one unfolding naturally into the next. We will move from broad understandings to more detailed views, from the whole body to the microscopic fibers that power contraction. We will examine the 3 types of muscle, the sources of their energy, and the way they communicate with the nervous system. We will wander through the upper body, the lower body, the core, the face, and the muscles of breathing. We will pause to reflect on how muscles adapt, how they change with age, and how they quietly shape our everyday lives. And in the end, we will return to a simple truth, that muscles are life's silent partners, working with us always, in motion and in rest. For now, rest in the knowledge that you are supported by muscles, even as you listen. Your body is carried by them, your breath guided by them, your heartbeat maintained by them. They are always present, always faithful. And as you let this thought settle in, you may feel a sense of gratitude, a quiet thankfulness for the muscles that have carried you through every moment of your life, often without notice, often without thought. This gratitude, too, is part of learning, as it allows the knowledge to feel not distant, but personal and real. And so, we close the first step of our journey. In the next part, we will begin to look more closely at what muscles truly are, what makes them unique among the body's tissues, and how their design allows them to fulfill such varied and remarkable tasks. For now, let this introduction linger like a soft echo, calming and reassuring as we continue to drift through the gentle science of the human body. 2. What makes muscles unique? To understand what makes muscles so special, let us begin by considering the body as a whole. Within us, there are many kinds of tissues, each with a different role. The skin forms a protective covering. The bones give shape and support. The blood carries nutrients and oxygen. The nerves send signals that guide every function. And yet, among all these, muscles hold a particular distinction. They are the only tissue designed to contract, to shorten, to create movement and force. This ability to contract is the defining feature of muscle tissue, the characteristic that separates it from all others, and the reason life in its active form is possible. Without muscles, the body would remain still, a framework of bones without motion, a collection of organs without circulation or breath. It is this singular ability to contract and relax that makes muscles unique, both in form and in function. Muscles are not rigid or passive. They are dynamic and responsive. Each muscle fiber is like a living engine, capable of generating power when needed, and then softening when the task is complete. What makes this power even more extraordinary is that it is entirely repeatable. A muscle can contract again and again, thousands of times, over the course of a day, a year, or a lifetime. The heart muscle alone will contract more than 2 billion times in an average human life, never ceasing, never faltering for long, always maintaining its rhythm. Unlike machines that wear down quickly, muscles are built with the capacity to repair themselves, to adapt, and to grow stronger in response to demand. They are not only engines of movement but also tissues of resilience, able to respond to stress with renewal. Another unique feature of muscles is their versatility. They exist in three main forms: skeletal, smooth, and cardiac, and each is specialized to its environment. Skeletal muscles are attached to bones and under voluntary control, allowing us to walk, run, and gesture. Smooth muscles are hidden deep within the organs, guiding digestion, blood flow, and respiration without us ever needing to think of them. Cardiac muscle is a singular type, found only in the heart, designed to beat ceaselessly with endurance, unlike any other tissue. This diversity of form and function highlights the adaptability of muscle tissue. The same basic principle, contraction, has been shaped by evolution into tissues that power everything from a deliberate step to the quiet circulation of blood. On a microscopic level, muscles are also unique in their structure. Each muscle is composed of fibers, long and thin, filled with intricate arrangements of proteins. These proteins, primarily actin and myosin, are designed to slide past one another, creating the shortening that we perceive as contraction. The elegance of this design lies in its simplicity. By repeating this sliding action across millions of fibers, muscles generate the large-scale forces that move bones, pump blood, or push food through the digestive tract. No other tissue in the body has such an ordered and purposeful internal architecture. The design of muscle fibers is a masterpiece of nature, efficient, adaptable, and endlessly repeatable. Muscles also play a crucial role in maintaining the body's balance of energy and heat. When muscles contract, they not only move the body, but also generate warmth. This is why, when the body grows cold, muscles begin to shiver. Tiny contractions repeated rapidly to produce heat and maintain internal temperature. In this way, muscles contribute not only to motion but also to survival, ensuring that the delicate balance of body temperature is preserved. This thermal role is subtle yet vital, reminding us that muscles serve life in ways beyond the obvious. Another aspect that sets muscles apart is their deep connection with the nervous system. Muscles cannot act on their own. They wait, patient and still, until a signal arrives from a nerve fiber. This signal, an electrical impulse, travels across the neuromuscular junction, triggering a cascade of chemical changes that cause the fibers to contract. The partnership between nerves and muscles is a relationship of precision, one that allows movements to be smooth, coordinated, and purposeful. From the smallest twitch of a fingertip to the powerful push of the legs during a sprint, Each action is guided by the harmony of nerves and muscles working together. No other tissue in the body responds to signals with such immediate and forceful action. This responsiveness makes muscles the executors of intention, turning thought into motion, desire into action. Muscles are also unique in their endurance. Some muscles are designed for quick, explosive action, while others are built for long, sustained effort. Within skeletal muscles, there are different types of fibers, slow twitch and fast twitch, each with their own strengths. Slow twitch fibers are rich in oxygen and suited for endurance, allowing a person to walk for hours or maintain posture without fatigue. Fast twitch fibers, in contrast, are designed for power and speed, creating rapid bursts of motion, such as jumping or sprinting. This combination within the same tissue provides the body with remarkable versatility, a balance between strength and stamina. Few other tissues in the body show such a range of capabilities within a single structure. The adaptability of muscles is another trait that defines them. When challenged by exercise, they respond by growing stronger and more efficient. When rested, they repair themselves and prepare for new demands. Even when weakened by illness or inactivity, they retain the potential for recovery, waiting to be reawakened by use. This plasticity, the ability to change and adapt, is central to the nature of muscle. It is why training can improve strength and endurance, why recovery is possible after injury, and why muscles remain a lifelong partner in health. Beyond their physical roles, muscles also contribute to the subtleties of human expression and connection. The small muscles of the face, for instance, shape smiles, frowns, and countless shades of expression. These movements, though tiny, carry profound meaning, allowing emotions to be shared without words. In this way, muscles become not only the instruments of motion, but also the language of feeling, the silent conveyors of joy, sorrow, surprise, and tenderness. This emotional dimension of muscles is often overlooked, yet it is as essential to human experience as walking or breathing. What makes muscles unique, then, is not one feature but a constellation of qualities. They contract with precision, repair themselves with resilience, adapt with flexibility, generate both motion and warmth, and serve as the bridge between thought and action. They exist in many forms, from the powerful muscles of the legs, to the hidden smooth fibers of the intestines, to the tireless heart muscle that sustains life itself. They are engines, partners, communicators, and protectors, woven into every aspect of human existence. As you rest with this thought, consider again the quiet work of your own muscles in this very moment. Your heart continues its rhythm, your chest rises and falls, your eyes may slowly close. Even in stillness, your muscles are alive with subtle motion, maintaining posture, circulating blood, and preserving warmth. They are never truly at rest, and yet their tireless work allows you to rest. This paradox that muscles must labor so that you may relax is a gentle reminder of their unique role in life. In the next part of our journey, we will turn to the families of muscles themselves, exploring the three great types: skeletal, smooth, and cardiac, and how each has been shaped to fulfill its particular role. For now, let the knowledge that muscles are unlike any other tissue in the body bring a sense of quiet awe. They are the movers of life, the silent partners in every breath and every step, unique in their design and unmatched in their devotion. 3. The three families of muscles. When we speak of muscles as a whole, it is easy to imagine them as one great system, all alike and serving the same purpose. Yet within the human body, muscles exist in three distinct families, each with its own form, its own rhythm, and its own manner of serving life. These are the skeletal muscles, the smooth muscles, and the cardiac muscle. Each one contracts, each one moves, but the ways in which they perform this task are as varied as the many roles they fulfill. To understand them is to see the body not as a single instrument, but as an orchestra, with each section playing its own part in the symphony of life. Skeletal muscles are the most familiar, the ones most easily seen and felt. They shape the arms, the legs, the chest, and the back. When you flex your arm and see the curve of the biceps, it is skeletal muscle that forms that shape. When you walk, lift, or stretch, skeletal muscles are at work. These muscles are under voluntary control, which means that you decide when to use them. If you wish to raise your hand, the thought is translated into nerve signals. They are connected to bones by tendons, and by pulling on these bones they create movement at the joints. What makes skeletal muscles particularly versatile is their range. Some are powerful, such as the quadriceps in the thigh, able to lift heavy weight and propel the body forward. Others are delicate, like the tiny muscles that move the fingers with precision, allowing you to write, to play an instrument, or to hold a fragile object. Yet skeletal muscles do not only provide motion, they also give the body posture and stability. Even now, as you lie resting or sit quietly, skeletal muscles are engaged in maintaining your position. They contract gently, often without your notice, keeping the spine aligned and the head supported. This quiet work is as important as any grand movement, for without it the body would slump and collapse. Skeletal muscles are also key in producing heat. When they contract, energy is released, and much of this energy takes the form of warmth. This is why, in cold weather, muscles begin to shiver, creating rapid contractions that generate heat to preserve the body's temperature. In this way, skeletal muscles are not only movers but guardians, protecting the body's balance as well as its form. The second family is smooth muscle, less visible, yet no less important. Unlike skeletal muscle, smooth muscle is not under voluntary control. You cannot command it, yet it serves you faithfully every moment of your life. Smooth muscles are found in the walls of internal organs, in the intestines, the stomach, the bladder, and the blood vessels. They work silently, moving food along the digestive tract, constricting and relaxing arteries to regulate blood pressure, and allowing the lungs to breathe easily by adjusting the airways. Unlike skeletal muscle, smooth muscle does not tire quickly. Its contractions are slower and more sustained, designed not for bursts of effort but for steady, ongoing function. To imagine the work of smooth muscle, picture the slow, rhythmic waves of the ocean as they roll toward shore. This is the motion of peristalsis, the steady squeezing of the digestive tract that moves food gently along. You need not think about it, and indeed, you cannot control it. It happens on its own, guided by signals from the nervous system that act below the level of consciousness. Smooth muscle is quiet, patient, and enduring. It works in places you may not notice, yet without it, life would not be sustained. Blood could not flow properly, food could not be digested, and the lungs could not adjust to changes in breath. Smooth muscle, though hidden, is a constant companion. The third family is cardiac muscle, and it is unique in that it exists only in one place, the heart. Cardiac muscle is a blend of endurance and rhythm, a tissue designed for one task above all others: to beat, again and again, without rest, for the entire span of life. Like smooth muscle, it is involuntary. You cannot command it to stop or start at will. Yet, unlike smooth muscle, cardiac muscle has a remarkable pattern of contraction. Each fiber is connected to its neighbor in a network, The others follow in unison. This creates the coordinated pumping action that sends blood through the heart and into the vessels of the body. Cardiac muscle is unlike skeletal muscle in that it never grows weary in the same way. It is nourished by a rich supply of blood carried through the coronary arteries, ensuring that oxygen and nutrients are always available. Its cells contain numerous mitochondria, the energy centers of the cell, allowing them to produce fuel continuously. The heart muscle is built not for power or speed, but for endurance. From the first beat before birth until the final breath, it does not cease. Its rhythm is steady, its contractions tireless. It is the most faithful of muscles, keeping life flowing without pause. What binds these three families together is their shared ability to contract, yet what distinguishes them is the manner in which they do so. Skeletal muscle responds to conscious will, quick to act, quick to rest, versatile in its uses. Smooth muscle responds to the quiet commands of the body itself, working slowly, invisibly, and constantly. Cardiac muscle blends the two, automatic in function, yet rhythmic and coordinated, built to sustain the very essence of life. Together, these three families ensure that the body not only moves and breathes, but also endures. It is worth pausing to appreciate how these families serve both the grand and the subtle aspects of existence. Skeletal muscles allow us to reach outward into the world, to act upon it, to carry, to build, to embrace. Smooth muscles sustain the inner workings, digesting food, circulating blood, guiding breath, all without distraction. Cardiac muscle keeps the rhythm of life itself, ensuring that every organ, every tissue, every cell receives what it needs. The harmony of these families is the harmony of the body, each playing its part without conflict, each contributing to the whole. Even as you rest now, all three families are active. Skeletal muscles hold your posture, however slight. Smooth muscles continue their silent work within, digesting, circulating, regulating, and cardiac muscle beats on, steady and strong, a rhythm that accompanies you always. They do not compete for attention. They do not require you to notice them. They serve together, seamlessly, like threads woven into the same fabric. As we continue in this journey, we will look more closely at each family in turn, beginning with skeletal muscles, the movers of the body. We will see how they attach to bones, how they create posture, and how their fibers are designed for both strength and precision. But for now, let the thought of these three families settle in your mind. They are the foundation of motion, of function, of life. Each unique, each essential, each quietly serving you in ways both visible and hidden. 4. Skeletal muscles and voluntary motion. Among the three great families of muscles, it is the skeletal muscles that most readily come to mind when we think of the word muscle. They are the ones visible beneath the skin, shaping the arms, the legs, the chest, and the back. They are the muscles that can be consciously flexed, trained, and exercised. They are also the muscles that give the body much of its form and strength. Yet beyond their visible role, skeletal muscles carry out a quiet and constant duty that is far more fundamental. They allow voluntary motion, the kind of movement that begins with thought and intention, and they provide the stability and posture that keep the human form upright and balanced. To understand skeletal muscles is to see how thought becomes action, and how the body becomes capable of both strength and grace. Skeletal muscles are attached to bones by tendons, strong cords of connective tissue that transmit force. When a muscle contracts, it pulls on the tendon, and the tendon in turn pulls on the bone, creating motion at a joint. This is the essential principle of voluntary movement. To lift an arm, the muscles of the shoulder and upper arm contract, pulling on the bones of the humerus and scapula. To walk, The muscles of the thigh and calf contract and relax in a sequence that propels the legs forward, to bend, to stretch, to reach, to sit. All of these actions depend upon skeletal muscles, working in harmony with the joints and bones. What makes skeletal muscles remarkable is not only their ability to contract, but also the precision with which they do so. A single skeletal muscle may contain thousands of fibers, and yet the nervous system can activate them in just the right number and in just the right sequence to produce exactly the amount of force needed. If you wish to lift a delicate glass, only a few fibers will contract gently. If you wish to lift a heavy weight, far more fibers will be called upon to contract strongly. This fine control is what allows human motion to be both powerful and delicate, both forceful and refined. It is why the same muscles that let you carry a heavy object also allow you to write with a pen, to thread a needle, or to play a musical instrument. The structure of skeletal muscle fibers contributes to this versatility. Within each fiber are myofibrils, tiny strands arranged in repeating units called sarcomeres. These sarcomeres contain the proteins actin and myosin, which slide past one another during contraction. It is the repetition of this simple sliding action, multiplied across thousands of fibers, that creates the larger contractions of an entire muscle. When viewed under a microscope, skeletal muscle fibers show a striated pattern, a series of light and dark bands that reflect the orderly arrangement of sarcomeres. This striation is one of the distinguishing features of skeletal muscle, a visual sign of the organization that makes voluntary motion possible. Skeletal muscles also exist in pairs or groups, often working in opposition. When one contracts, the other relaxes. This principle is called antagonistic pairing. For example, to bend the elbow, the biceps contract while the triceps relax. To straighten the elbow, the triceps contract while the biceps relax. This arrangement ensures smooth motion, preventing jerks or uncontrolled force. The body is filled with such pairs and groups, each balancing the other, each allowing movement to be precise and controlled. Without this balance, motion would be clumsy, unstable, and potentially harmful. Another defining quality of skeletal muscles is their variety in fiber type. Within these muscles are slow-twitch fibers, also called type I fibers, and fast-twitch fibers, known as type 2. Slow-twitch fibers are rich in oxygen and designed for endurance. They contract slowly, but can sustain activity for long periods without fatigue. These are the fibers that allow a person to walk for miles, to maintain posture throughout the day, or to engage in steady, prolonged effort. Fast-twitch fibers, in contrast, are designed for speed and power. They contract quickly and strongly, but tire more rapidly. These are the fibers used for sprinting, jumping, or lifting heavy weights. Most muscles contain a mixture of both types, giving the body the ability to adapt to different demands. Some individuals naturally have more of one type, influencing their strengths in endurance or power activities. This mixture of fibers is one of the ways skeletal muscles provide the body with versatility, allowing both stamina and strength. Skeletal muscles are also responsive to use and disuse. When exercised regularly, they adapt by growing stronger and larger, a process known as hypertrophy. This growth occurs as the fibers repair and reinforce themselves after the small stresses of activity. When not used, muscles gradually weaken and shrink, a process called atrophy. This responsiveness is another sign of their uniqueness. They do not remain static, but instead mirror the patterns of daily life. They adapt to what is asked of them, and in doing so, they become a record of how the body has been used. A dancer's muscles may be long and lean, adapted for grace and balance. A weightlifter's muscles may be thick and powerful, adapted for force. Yet in both, the principle is the same. Skeletal muscles change and respond to the lives they serve. Beyond their role in movement, skeletal muscles also contribute to circulation and metabolism. Though the heart is the central pump of the circulatory system, skeletal muscles act as auxiliary pumps, especially in the legs. As muscles contract, they squeeze the veins that run through them, helping to push blood back toward the heart. This is particularly important in the lower body, where blood must travel against gravity. It is why walking or moving the legs prevents blood from pooling and reduces strain on the circulatory system. In metabolism, skeletal muscles store energy in the form of glycogen and use it when needed for activity. They play a central role in regulating the body's use of glucose, linking movement with energy balance. The role of skeletal muscles in posture is another aspect often overlooked, yet it is one of their most constant contributions. Even when the body appears still, muscles are at work. They contract gently to keep the spine upright, the head balanced, and the body aligned. Without this quiet engagement, the body would collapse under its own weight. This continuous, low-level activity is called muscle tone, and it is maintained automatically by the nervous system. It is not fatigue-inducing, but steady and supportive, a background effort that holds the body in readiness. Perhaps the most remarkable quality of skeletal muscles is how directly they connect thought to action. To imagine raising your hand, to form the intention to wave, and then to see your hand move. This is the essence of voluntary motion. The process is so familiar that it often goes unnoticed, yet it is extraordinary. Electrical signals begin in the brain, travel down the spinal cord, move through nerves, and finally reach the muscle fibers, causing contraction. In less than a fraction of a second, an invisible thought becomes a visible movement. This directness, this seamless transformation of will into action, is what makes skeletal muscles so central to human experience. They allow not only survival, but expression and creativity. Through them we build, we create, we gesture, we dance. They are the instruments of intention. Even now, as you listen, skeletal muscles are at work. They hold your body in its position. They guide the rise and fall of your chest as the diaphragm contracts and relaxes. They shift subtly as you adjust for comfort. Though you may not command them with each moment, they are ready, always poised to act, always responsive to the slightest signal. They are both patient and alert, both enduring and swift. In the quiet of this reflection, one can see how skeletal muscles embody both strength and subtlety. They are capable of lifting great weight, yet also of the most delicate motion. They are visible and familiar, yet also mysterious in their depth and adaptability. They are the body's link between thought and world, between will and motion. As we move forward, we will turn our attention to another family of muscles, those less visible, but no less vital, the smooth muscles, the silent workers within. These muscles do not wait for conscious command, but serve tirelessly beneath awareness, sustaining life in ways unseen. For now, rest in the knowledge that skeletal muscles are the companions of intention, the translators of thought into action, carrying you with both power and grace through every moment of your life. 5. Smooth muscles and silent functions. Beneath the surface of the body, hidden from sight and beyond the reach of conscious control, lies a network of muscles that work in quiet devotion. These are the smooth muscles, named for their appearance under a microscope, where they lack the striations or stripes that mark skeletal muscle fibers. Smooth muscles do not swell with effort or flex in response to our commands. Instead, they act continuously and steadily, carrying out the background functions that sustain life. They are the silent workers of the body, ensuring that food moves through the digestive tract, that blood flows evenly through the vessels, that the bladder fills and empties, and that the airways expand and contract with each breath. Without them, the most basic processes of survival would falter, and yet they are so unobtrusive that we rarely notice their presence. Smooth muscles differ from skeletal muscles in several fundamental ways. Where skeletal muscles are under voluntary control, responding to decisions and deliberate movements, smooth muscles operate involuntarily. You cannot will your stomach to churn more quickly, or your arteries to relax, or your intestines to push food along. These functions are governed by the autonomic nervous system, which directs them silently, without drawing attention to its work. This difference gives smooth muscles a special character. They are not servants of conscious thought, but partners of the body's inner rhythms, tuned to the needs of survival rather than the demands of intention. The design of smooth muscle fibers reflects this role. Unlike the long, striated fibers of skeletal muscle, smooth muscle cells are shorter, spindle-shaped, and arranged in layers that wrap around organs and vessels. When they contract, they squeeze or narrow the structures they surround. In the digestive system, this contraction creates a gentle, wave-like motion known as peristalsis. These waves move food from the stomach into the intestines, along the winding passages, until nutrients are absorbed and waste continues on its path. The entire process unfolds without conscious effort, a perfect example of smooth muscles fulfilling their duty in silence. One of the most remarkable features of smooth muscles is their endurance. Skeletal muscles tire quickly when engaged for long periods, but smooth muscles are designed for sustained activity. They contract more slowly and use energy more efficiently, allowing them to maintain tension for hours or even days without fatigue. This is essential in functions such as maintaining blood pressure, where arteries must remain slightly constricted at all times. Were smooth muscles prone to rapid exhaustion, the stability of circulation would collapse. Instead, they are built for patience, for steady and continuous service that does not waver. Smooth muscles also display a special kind of coordination. Many smooth muscle cells are connected to one another by gap junctions, small channels that allow signals to pass directly from cell to cell. This means that when one cell contracts, its neighbors follow, creating a unified wave of motion. This is especially clear in the digestive tract, where peristalsis requires synchronized contractions, moving in sequence. It is as though smooth muscles speak a private language, passing messages among themselves to maintain harmony, without the need for constant direction from the nervous system. This self-organizing quality makes them uniquely suited to their tasks. Beyond digestion, smooth muscles play vital roles in many other systems. In the blood vessels, they contract and relax to regulate the diameter of arteries and veins. This, in turn, controls blood pressure and directs blood flow to where it is most needed. During exercise, smooth muscles in the arteries of the legs may relax to allow more blood to flow to working muscles, while those in the digestive tract constrict, diverting blood away from digestion for the time being. These adjustments happen automatically, guided by signals from the autonomic nervous system and chemical cues within the blood itself. The body's ability to respond so fluidly to changing conditions is due in large part to the flexibility of smooth muscle tissue. Smooth muscles also shape the airways within the lungs, adjusting their diameter to regulate airflow. In moments of rest, the airways may remain narrow, conserving energy and moisture. In moments of need, they expand, allowing greater volumes of air to enter. This function becomes especially noticeable in conditions like asthma, where excessive contraction of smooth muscles in the airways leads to difficulty breathing. Even in such cases, the principle remains: smooth muscles are the gatekeepers of airflow, adjusting quietly to the body's needs. In the bladder, smooth muscles coordinate filling and emptying. As the bladder fills with urine, its walls stretch, and smooth muscles within them relax, to accommodate the growing volume. When the time comes to empty, these muscles contract, squeezing the bladder while others relax to open the passage. The process is largely automatic, yet it reflects the same principle of smooth muscle function: steady, involuntary control over essential processes. Another aspect of smooth muscle activity is its role in the uterus. During pregnancy, smooth muscles of the uterine wall expand and contract to accommodate the growing fetus. During labor, powerful rhythmic contractions guide the process of birth. These contractions are unique among smooth muscles in their intensity and coordination, but they follow the same underlying design: involuntary, enduring, and essential to life. Smooth muscles are also responsive to hormones and chemical signals in ways that skeletal muscles are not. While skeletal muscles rely primarily on nerve impulses to initiate contraction, smooth muscles can respond to circulating hormones, to local chemical changes, and even to stretching of the tissue itself. This sensitivity allows them to adapt directly to their environment. For example, the presence of certain digestive hormones can trigger stronger contractions in the intestines, while a buildup of carbon dioxide in the blood can prompt airway muscles to relax, allowing more oxygen to enter. This responsiveness makes smooth muscles finely attuned to the body's internal state, acting as guardians of balance and adaptation. Despite their importance, smooth muscles remain largely invisible to us. They do not bulge with exertion or ache after exercise. Their work is subtle and unannounced, their service continuous. Yet without them, survival would be impossible. Food would not move, blood would not circulate properly, air would not flow smoothly, and essential organs would fail to function. Their invisibility should not be mistaken for insignificance. In many ways, smooth muscles are the quiet foundation of life, working behind the scenes to sustain every other action. As you rest and reflect on them, consider how smooth muscles are, at this very moment, performing countless tasks within you. Your stomach may be gently churning, your intestines slowly pushing food along. Your arteries are subtly adjusting, ensuring blood flows to where it is needed most. Your lungs are receiving air through airways that expand and contract, never drawing your conscious attention. All of this is happening in silence, a constant undercurrent of activity that sustains your life without asking for notice. To think of smooth muscles is to appreciate the unseen. They are a reminder that much of what sustains us is quiet and hidden, not dramatic or visible. They do not seek recognition, and yet they are indispensable. Their silent service is a reflection of the body's wisdom, its ability to sustain life without effort or awareness. As we move forward in our journey, we will turn next to the third family of muscles, the cardiac muscle, whose rhythmic contractions form the heartbeat itself. Unlike skeletal or smooth muscle, cardiac muscle has a singular purpose and a rhythm that endures from the first moments of life until the last. For now, let the thought of smooth muscles remain with you, a gentle awareness of the silent companions within. Always working, always faithful, always guiding the unseen processes that make life possible. 6. Cardiac muscle and the steady heartbeat. Deep within the chest, protected by the rib cage and nourished by a constant flow of blood, lies the heart. And at the core of the heart is a very special kind of muscle. Unlike the skeletal muscles that flex and relax at will, or the smooth muscles that work invisibly throughout the organs, cardiac muscle has one task that never ends: to beat, again and again, without pause, for as long as life continues. This muscle is not under conscious control, yet it is not entirely like smooth muscle either. It belongs to its own unique family, designed for endurance, coordination, and unwavering rhythm. The cardiac muscle is the heartbeat itself, the engine of circulation, the steady companion from the first flicker of life in the womb until the final breath at the end of a lifetime. The uniqueness of cardiac muscle begins with its structure. When viewed under a microscope, it appears striated, much like skeletal muscle, with repeating bands of proteins that allow for contraction. Yet unlike skeletal muscle, its fibers are not long and separate but are branched, forming a network that connects one cell to another. These connections are reinforced by special junctions, known as intercalated discs. Within these discs are gap junctions, tiny channels that allow electrical impulses to pass freely from one cell to the next. The result is that when one part of the cardiac muscle is stimulated, the impulse spreads quickly, causing the entire network to contract in unison. This coordination is what creates the pumping action of the heart, a motion so perfectly timed that it can sustain itself for decades without interruption. Cardiac muscle is also remarkable for its endurance. While skeletal muscles can contract with great force, they eventually tire, and smooth muscles, though tireless, contract slowly and steadily. Cardiac muscle combines the best of both. It contracts powerfully enough to pump blood throughout the entire body, yet it is able to do so without rest, beat after beat, for a lifetime. The secret lies in its abundance of mitochondria, the powerhouses of the cell. Cardiac muscle cells contain more mitochondria than almost any other type of cell, ensuring a constant supply of energy in the form of ATP. They also have a rich network of blood vessels surrounding them, delivering oxygen and nutrients while removing waste. This design ensures that the heart muscle never lacks fuel, never falters for long, and always recovers quickly if stressed. The rhythm of cardiac muscle is guided by the heart's own natural pacemaker, a cluster of specialized cells known as the sinoatrial node. Located in the right atrium, this node generates electrical impulses that spread through the cardiac muscle, initiating each heartbeat. The rate can be adjusted by signals from the autonomic nervous system, speeding up during exercise, slowing down during rest. But the basic rhythm originates within the muscle itself. This property, known as automaticity, is another unique trait of cardiac muscle. It does not require constant input from nerves to contract. Instead, it contains its own built-in rhythm, a steady pulse that continues, even if removed from the body, so long as the cells remain alive. The work of the cardiac muscle is tireless, and yet it is also adaptable. When the body requires more oxygen and nutrients, as during exertion, the heart rate quickens, and the force of contraction increases. When the body rests, the heart slows, conserving energy while still maintaining the circulation of blood. This flexibility ensures that tissues throughout the body always receive the right amount of blood, whether in stillness or in motion. In this way, the cardiac muscle adjusts continuously, responsive to the needs of the whole organism. It is also worth appreciating the sheer magnitude of the cardiac muscle's work. The average heart beats about 70 times per minute. In a single day, that adds up to more than 100,000 beats. In a year, over 35 million. Over a lifetime, more than 2 billion. With each beat, the cardiac muscle pumps blood into the arteries, sending oxygen to the brain, the muscles, the skin. The volume of work is immense, and yet it is carried out so smoothly that we rarely notice it. The heart does not ask for attention. It simply continues, steady and faithful, from the first moments of life onward. Cardiac muscle also reflects the deep unity of body systems. Its function depends not only on its own structure but also on the collaboration of the lungs, which provide oxygen, and the blood vessels, which deliver nutrients and carry away waste. It is influenced by hormones, by nervous signals, and by the chemical composition of the blood. And yet, despite these influences, the cardiac muscle maintains its rhythm, its beat continuing even in sleep, even in unconsciousness, even in moments when all else is still. It is, in a sense, the body's most reliable companion, a constant presence that sustains all others. The strength of cardiac muscle lies not only in its endurance but also in its precision. The heart is divided into chambers, and the contractions of the cardiac muscle are timed so that blood flows in only one direction. The atria contract first, filling the ventricles, and then the ventricles contract, pushing blood into the arteries. Valves ensure that the flow does not reverse, and the sequence repeats with each beat. This coordination is so finely tuned that it occurs without conscious oversight, a perfect rhythm maintained through millions upon millions of cycles. It is a dance of muscle fibers, guided by electrical signals, synchronized with astonishing accuracy. Perhaps what makes cardiac muscle most profound is its role in the continuity of life. Long before birth, while still within the womb, the heart begins to beat, its muscle fibers contracting in rhythm. It is one of the earliest signs of developing life, a flicker that signals vitality. From that moment onward, the cardiac muscle never stops. It works through infancy, through childhood, through adulthood, through every stage of life. It speeds during excitement, calms during rest, adapts to challenge, and recovers after strain. And finally, at the end of life, when the heart muscle ceases its contractions, the rhythm that has sustained every other function comes to an end. In this way, the story of cardiac muscle is the story of life itself, beginning before awareness and ending only with the close of existence. As you reflect on the cardiac muscle, you may sense the quiet beat of your own heart, steady and faithful in your chest. Perhaps it is slower now, as you rest, each beat spaced apart in a calm rhythm. That rhythm is the work of cardiac muscle, contracting and relaxing, drawing blood in and sending it out. It is the rhythm that has accompanied you since the beginning, and it will remain until the end. To become aware of it, even briefly, is to touch upon something profound, the steady pulse that defines what it means to be alive. As we continue in our journey through the world of muscles, we will move next to the microscopic level to see the building blocks of muscle fibers themselves. We will explore the sarcomeres, the proteins, and the elegant machinery that makes contraction possible. But for now, let the steady presence of cardiac muscle remain in your thoughts, a reminder that even as you rest, your heart continues, faithful and enduring, the most constant companion of life. 7. Anatomy of a muscle fiber. To appreciate the work of muscles on the grand scale, the lifting of an arm, the rising and falling of the chest, the rhythm of the heart, it is necessary to look closely at their smallest functional parts. Just as a great forest is made of countless individual trees, each muscle is built from countless fibers, slender and intricate, each one capable of contraction. These fibers are not visible to the naked eye, yet within them lies the secret of how muscles perform their work. The anatomy of a muscle fiber reveals an elegant design, one that repeats itself across millions of units to create strength, motion, and endurance. A muscle fiber is a single cell, but unlike most cells of the body, it is exceptionally large. Some fibers can extend the full length of a muscle, running from one tendon to the other. Within these elongated cells are multiple nuclei, each containing genetic instructions for the maintenance and function of the fiber. This arrangement makes muscle fibers unusual, for most cells contain only one nucleus. The presence of many allows for the efficient control of protein synthesis throughout the long expanse of the fiber. It is a reflection of how specialized and unique these cells are, designed not for quiet, hidden functions, but for powerful, coordinated contraction. The surface of a muscle fiber is encased in a membrane called the sarcolemma. This delicate but resilient boundary not only separates the inside of the fiber from its surroundings, but also carries the electrical signals that trigger contraction. These signals, called action potentials, travel along the sarcolemma like ripples across water, initiating the events that lead to motion. Beneath this membrane lies a fluid-filled interior known as the sarcoplasm, which contains the organelles, proteins, and energy sources that sustain the fiber. Within the sarcoplasm are myofibrils, the slender threads that give the fiber its distinctive striated appearance under a microscope. Myofibrils are the true engines of contraction. Each myofibril is divided into repeating units called sarcomeres, and it is within these sarcomeres that the proteins actin and myosin are arranged in precise patterns. The sarcomere is often described as the fundamental unit of muscle contraction. When many sarcomeres shorten at once, the entire myofibril shortens, and as countless myofibrils contract together, the entire muscle fiber shortens. This simple repetition of units is what allows the body to produce both delicate and powerful movements. The sarcomere's design is elegant in its regularity. A series of interlocking proteins arranged in a pattern that can contract and relax endlessly. Within the sarcomere, actin filaments form thin strands, while myosin filaments form thicker ones. Myosin molecules have tiny projections, known as heads, which reach out toward the actin filaments. During contraction, these heads attach to the actin, forming cross bridges, and then pivot, pulling the actin filaments inward. This action shortens the sarcomere, and as countless cross bridges act in concert, the fiber itself shortens. This process is known as the sliding filament mechanism, and it is the heart of muscular motion. What is remarkable is that this process does not occur only once but repeats continuously, with myosin heads attaching, pulling, releasing, and reattaching in a cycle powered by energy molecules. The energy that drives this process comes from ATP, the universal fuel of cells. Each time a myosin head attaches to actin, it uses ATP to power its movement. When ATP binds to the myosin head, it allows the head to release from actin, reset its position, and prepare for another pull. Without ATP, the cycle cannot continue. This dependence on energy highlights why muscles require a constant supply of nutrients and oxygen delivered by the blood to maintain their function. It also explains why fatigue sets in when energy is depleted. On the microscopic level, fatigue is not a vague sensation, but a real shortage of fuel for the countless cycles of contraction occurring within each fiber. Surrounding the myofibrils is a network of tubules known as the sarcoplasmic reticulum. This structure stores calcium ions, which are essential for initiating contraction. When an electrical signal travels along the sarcolemma and down into special channels called tubules, it triggers the release of calcium from the sarcoplasmic reticulum. These ions flood into the sarcoplasm, binding to proteins on the actin filaments and allowing the myosin heads to attach. When the contraction is complete, calcium is pumped back into storage, and the fiber relaxes. This system of electrical signals, calcium release, and protein interaction is finely tuned, ensuring that contractions occur rapidly and with precision. The efficiency of muscle fibers is also due to their close relationship with mitochondria, the organelles that produce ATP. Muscle fibers, particularly those designed for endurance, are rich in mitochondria, which generate energy through the breakdown of glucose and fatty acids in the presence of oxygen. This is why oxygen delivery is so important to muscle function. Without oxygen, mitochondria cannot produce ATP efficiently, and the fibers must rely on less efficient pathways that produce fatigue more quickly. The intimate connection between respiration, circulation, and muscular contraction is evident here. The lungs bring in oxygen, the blood carries it, and the fibers use it to fuel the sliding of actin and myosin. Another important aspect of muscle fiber anatomy is the presence of satellite cells, small, specialized cells that lie on the surface of the fibers. These cells play a role in growth and repair. When muscle fibers are damaged, whether by injury or by the small stresses of exercise, satellite cells become activated. They multiply and fuse with the existing fibers, adding new nuclei and helping to repair the tissue. This capacity for repair and adaptation is one of the reasons muscles can grow stronger with use and recover from strain. It is also a reminder that muscles are not static structures but living tissues, constantly renewing themselves in response to the demands placed upon them. The arrangement of fibers within a whole muscle also adds to the versatility of muscular function. Individual fibers are bundled together in groups called fascicles, and the orientation of these fascicles can vary. In some muscles, fibers run parallel, allowing for long, smooth contractions. In others, they are arranged at angles, creating greater strength in a compact space. This diversity of design allows muscles to serve different roles, from the broad, sweeping movements of the arms to the fine, precise adjustments of the fingers. The anatomy of a single fiber, multiplied and arranged in countless patterns, becomes the foundation of the body's many movements. As you reflect on the anatomy of a muscle fiber, it is striking how such microscopic structures create the macroscopic actions of life. The sliding of proteins within a sarcomere translates into the bending of an arm. The release of calcium within a fiber becomes the rising of the chest in breath. The energy of ATP fuels not only contraction, but the very endurance of the body itself. Each fiber is a world in miniature, a complex system of membranes, proteins, and organelles, all working together in harmony. Even now, as you lie still, countless fibers within your body are quietly active. Some maintain posture, holding you in position. Others contract rhythmically in the diaphragm, guiding your breath. Still others remain at rest, ready to awaken when needed. Each fiber, though small, contributes to the whole, and together they form the strength, grace, and resilience of the body. In the next part of our journey, we will explore more deeply the process by which these fibers contract, the sliding filament theory that explains how motion is generated from the interplay of proteins. But for now, let the intricate beauty of the muscle fiber rest in your mind, a reminder that even the smallest units of the body are marvels of design, tirelessly serving the rhythm of life. 8. The sliding filament theory of contraction. At the very core of muscle function lies a process that is both simple in principle and profound in its consequences. This process, known as the sliding filament theory, explains how microscopic proteins within each muscle fiber interact to create the great variety of movements that define human life. From the smallest twitch of an eyelid to the steady rhythm of the heart, all motion begins with this same elegant mechanism. It is the microscopic sliding of filaments that becomes the macroscopic action of walking, lifting, breathing, and living. To explore this process is to uncover one of nature's most refined designs, a cycle of attachment and release, of pulling and resetting, repeated endlessly in every moment of motion. The sliding filament theory rests on the interaction of two key proteins, actin and myosin, arranged in the repeating units of the sarcomere. The sarcomere, the functional unit of muscle fibers, is bordered by structures called Z-lines, which anchor the thin actin filaments. In the center are the thicker myosin filaments, their heads reaching outward like tiny arms. When a muscle contracts, the myosin heads attached to actin pull the filaments inward and shorten the sarcomere. This shortening, multiplied across millions of sarcomeres and countless fibers, produces the contraction of the entire muscle. The filaments themselves do not change in length. Rather, they slide past one another, drawing the ends of the sarcomere closer together. It is this sliding, repeated again and again, that generates force and motion. To initiate contraction, a signal must first travel from the nervous system to the muscle fiber. A motor neuron, extending from the spinal cord, reaches the muscle at a point known as the neuromuscular junction. When an electrical impulse arrives, it triggers the release of a chemical messenger, acetylcholine, into the small gap between the neuron and the muscle. This messenger binds to receptors on the sarcolemma, the surface membrane of the muscle fiber, creating an electrical change that spreads across the membrane and down into channels called tubules. These tubules carry the signal deep into the fiber, ensuring that every myofibril is activated at once. The arrival of the signal prompts the sarcoplasmic reticulum, a network of tubules surrounding the myofibrils, to release calcium ions. Calcium is the key that unlocks contraction. In the resting state, proteins called troponin and tropomyosin block the binding sites on actin, preventing myosin from attaching. When calcium floods the sarcoplasm, it binds to troponin, shifting the tropomyosin away and revealing the sites where myosin can connect. With the pathway clear, myosin heads latch onto actin, forming what are known as cross bridges. Once attached, the myosin heads pivot, pulling the actin filaments toward the center of the sarcomere. This action is called the power stroke, and it is fueled by the energy stored in ATP. After the stroke, a new molecule of ATP binds to the myosin head, causing it to release from actin. The ATP is then broken down, recocking the myosin head into position for another pull. This cycle attach, pull, release, reset repeats rapidly, often many times per second, creating a continuous sliding of actin and myosin. The result is the shortening of the sarcomere and the contraction of the muscle fiber. The elegance of this system lies in its repetition and coordination. Each myosin head operates independently, attaching and pulling in a slightly staggered rhythm. This ensures that contraction is smooth and steady rather than jerky or uneven. Across a single fiber, thousands of myosin heads are working at once, each engaged in its cycle, collectively producing the force that moves the muscle. Across an entire muscle, millions of fibers may contract together, generating the strength to lift, to push, to walk, or to breathe. What appears outwardly as a single action is, in truth, the combined effect of countless microscopic movements. Relaxation occurs when the nervous signal ceases. Without continued stimulation, calcium is pumped back into the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Troponin and tropomyosin return to their blocking positions, and the binding sites on actin are covered once more. The myosin heads can no longer attach, and the sarcomere returns to its resting length. Just as contraction requires energy, so too does relaxation, as calcium must be actively transported back into storage. The cycle of contraction and relaxation is thus a carefully balanced process, guided by the flow of signals and the availability of energy. The sliding filament theory also explains variations in muscle performance. When a muscle needs only a gentle effort, few fibers are activated, and the sliding occurs in a smaller portion of the muscle. When greater force is required, more fibers are recruited, increasing the total number of cross bridges at work. The principle is the same, whether in lifting a small object or carrying a heavy load. The difference lies in how many sarcomeres are engaged at once and how rapidly the cycles are repeated. This ability to scale force so precisely is one of the hallmarks of muscular control. Another dimension of the sliding filament process is its dependence on energy supply. ATP is consumed with every cycle, and the demand for it increases with activity. At rest, muscles have sufficient ATP stored to sustain contraction for only a few seconds. Beyond this, they rely on the regeneration of ATP through metabolic pathways, such as the breakdown of creatine phosphate, glycolysis, and aerobic respiration. These pathways ensure that the supply of ATP is continuous, but each has its limits, and when demand outpaces supply, fatigue sets in. On the microscopic level, fatigue represents a slowing of the sliding filament cycles, a reduction in the ability of myosin heads to attach and pull. On the larger scale, it is felt as heaviness, weakness, or an inability to continue. The sliding filament theory, though simple in its principle, accounts for the full range of muscular activity. It explains the delicate motion of eyelids blinking, the precise coordination of fingers playing an instrument, the steady contractions of the diaphragm in breathing, and the powerful surges of the legs in running. In every case, the mechanism is the same: the sliding of actin and myosin within sarcomeres, powered by ATP, guided by calcium, and coordinated by signals from the nervous system. To reflect on this process is to see the body as a symphony of cycles. Within each muscle fiber, countless myosin heads attach and pull, detach and reset in perfect rhythm. Their combined effort becomes the lifting of a hand, the turning of the head, the drawing of breath, and all of it occurs silently, invisibly, beneath the surface of awareness. We do not need to think of calcium, of ATP, of cross bridges forming and breaking. The body carries out these tasks automatically, seamlessly transforming intention into motion. Even in this moment, as you rest, the sliding filament theory is at work within you. The diaphragm contracts and relaxes, drawing air into the lungs. The heart's cardiac muscle fibers shorten and lengthen in rhythm, sending blood through arteries and veins. Small postural muscles contract gently, maintaining balance and alignment. In each case, the same microscopic dance of actin and myosin is unfolding, repeated countless times across countless fibers, sustaining life without pause. As we continue our journey through the world of muscles, we will next turn to the question of energy itself, the fuel that powers contraction and allows the sliding filaments to move. We will explore how ATP is generated, how it is used, and how the body balances its supply to sustain both effort and rest. For now, let the sliding filament theory rest in your thoughts, a reminder that every movement, no matter how simple or grand, is born from the graceful sliding of filaments within the smallest units of muscle. 9. Sources of energy for muscles. Every contraction of a muscle, no matter how small, requires energy. When a finger lifts gently, when the chest rises in a calm breath, when the legs surge forward in motion, each of these actions is powered by a molecule that serves as the currency of life itself: adenosine triphosphate, often shortened to ATP. Muscles, like all tissues of the body, depend upon ATP to fuel their work, but muscles in particular are among the greatest consumers of energy, for their task is constant and demanding. To understand how muscles function is to understand how they find, create, and use energy, balancing immediate needs with long-term supply, and sustaining motion through cycles of rest and activity. ATP provides energy by releasing one of its 3 phosphate groups, transforming into a molecule called adenosine diphosphate, or ADP. This release of a phosphate group liberates a small but powerful burst of energy, enough to fuel the attachment, pull, and release of a myosin head within a sarcomere. Each cycle of contraction requires its own molecule of ATP, and when multiplied across millions of fibers and countless sarcomeres, the demand becomes immense. The challenge for muscles is that their stored supply of ATP is very small, enough to sustain activity for only a few seconds. Thus, the body must continually regenerate ATP from other sources, ensuring that the sliding filament cycles can continue without interruption. The first and fastest source of energy for muscles is a compound called creatine phosphate, stored within the fibers themselves. Creatine phosphate carries a high-energy phosphate group that can be quickly transferred to ADP, restoring it to ATP. This system acts as a buffer, providing energy almost instantly during the first moments of activity. It is especially important in sudden bursts of motion, such as sprinting, jumping, or lifting a heavy weight. Yet creatine phosphate is limited, typically exhausted within 10 to 15 seconds of intense effort. After this brief window, the muscles must rely on other pathways to replenish their energy. The second pathway is glycolysis, the breakdown of glucose into smaller molecules. Glucose is stored in the body as glycogen, a chain of sugar units held within muscles and the liver. When needed, glycogen is broken down to release glucose, which enters the glycolytic pathway. Here, glucose is split into pyruvate, producing a modest yield of ATP. This process does not require oxygen and can function even when the body's oxygen supply is low. Because of this, glycolysis is often called anaerobic metabolism. It is a valuable source of quick energy, especially during short, intense activity, when oxygen delivery may not keep pace with demand. However, anaerobic metabolism produces byproducts, including lactic acid, which can accumulate and contribute to the sensation of fatigue. This system is thus useful but temporary, capable of sustaining activity for a minute or two before efficiency declines. The third and most enduring pathway is aerobic respiration, a process that takes place within the mitochondria of muscle fibers. In aerobic respiration, pyruvate from glycolysis, along with fatty acids drawn from fat stores, is broken down completely in the presence of oxygen. This process yields far more ATP than either creatine phosphate or glycolysis, making it the dominant source of energy during prolonged activity. Aerobic respiration is slower to respond, requiring time to mobilize oxygen and fuel. But once established, it can sustain activity for hours. This is the system relied upon during walking, steady exercise, and most of the ongoing activities of daily life. It is also the system that fuels the heart muscle, whose endurance depends upon a steady supply of oxygen and nutrients delivered by the blood. The balance among these three energy pathways reflects the versatility of muscles. In the opening seconds of exertion, creatine phosphate provides immediate energy. As effort continues, glycolysis becomes more active, supplying ATP without the need for oxygen. And as activity lengthens, aerobic respiration gradually takes over, using oxygen to extract energy efficiently from both glucose and fat. The transition among these systems occurs seamlessly, without conscious effort, guided by the demands of the body and the availability of fuel. An important aspect of muscular energy is the role of oxygen. During aerobic respiration, oxygen acts as the final acceptor of electrons in the energy-producing chain, allowing ATP to be generated in abundance. When oxygen delivery is sufficient, muscles can sustain steady work with little fatigue. When oxygen supply is limited, as in intense exertion, muscles shift toward anaerobic metabolism, producing ATP less efficiently and creating byproducts that must later be cleared. This is why breathing quickens during activity, as the lungs and heart work to deliver more oxygen to the muscles. It is also why endurance improves with training, for the body becomes more efficient at transporting and using oxygen, allowing aerobic respiration to sustain effort for longer periods. Another dimension of muscular energy lies in the use of different fuels. While glucose is the primary fuel during most activity, fatty acids become increasingly important during prolonged exertion. Fat stores within the body are vast compared to glycogen, and though fat yields ATP more slowly, it can sustain muscles for long durations when oxygen is available. This is why endurance athletes, such as long-distance runners, rely heavily on fat metabolism during their activity. Protein can also be used as a fuel in extreme conditions, though it is normally spared for other functions, as its breakdown is not the body's preferred pathway for energy. The efficiency of these systems varies depending on the type of muscle fiber. Slow twitch fibers, adapted for endurance, are rich in mitochondria and rely heavily on aerobic respiration. They are supplied with abundant blood vessels and oxygen-binding proteins, allowing them to sustain activity with little fatigue. Fast twitch fibers, adapted for power, contain fewer mitochondria and rely more on glycolysis and creatine phosphate for energy. They can produce force rapidly, but fatigue more quickly. This division of labor within muscle fibers reflects the balance between immediate power and long-term endurance, a balance that allows the body to adapt to many forms of activity. Energy use in muscles is not limited to contraction alone. Even at rest, muscle fibers consume ATP to maintain the gradients of ions across their membranes, to recycle calcium into the sarcoplasmic reticulum, and to sustain the readiness for the next contraction. This resting energy use contributes significantly to the body's overall metabolism, making muscles one of the major consumers of energy, even in stillness. It is a reminder that muscles are not idle tissues but active, living structures, engaged in constant processes of renewal and readiness. Fatigue arises when the balance of energy supply and demand shifts unfavorably. It may reflect the depletion of glycogen, the buildup of byproducts, or the inability to deliver sufficient oxygen. On the microscopic level, it is the slowing of cross-bridge cycles, the reduced availability of ATP, and the accumulation of substances that interfere with contraction. Recovery occurs when oxygen and nutrients are restored, when byproducts are cleared, and when energy stores are replenished. This cycle of exertion, fatigue, and recovery is part of the natural rhythm of muscles, allowing them to adapt and grow stronger over time. As you reflect on the sources of energy for muscles, consider how this balance is unfolding in your own body, even now. As you rest, your muscles rely primarily on aerobic respiration, quietly using oxygen to produce ATP from glucose and fat. Your heart beats steadily, fueled by mitochondria that never rest. Your breathing muscles contract and relax, their energy supplied by the same invisible cycle. When you move again, when you shift position or rise to walk, other pathways will briefly join in, creatine phosphate and glycolysis, providing quick bursts of energy before aerobic respiration once more takes the lead. The story of muscular energy is one of harmony, of multiple systems working together to sustain life in every moment. It is a reminder that motion is never free but always supported by the constant transformation of molecules, the cycling of fuels, and the quiet work of mitochondria. It is also a reminder of the deep connection between muscles, circulation, and respiration, each system supporting the others, each essential to the whole. In the next part of our exploration, we will turn to the relationship between muscles and the nervous system, examining how signals travel from brain to fiber, guiding contraction with precision. For now, let the thought of muscular energy settle like a calm undercurrent, an awareness that every breath, every beat, and every motion is sustained by the quiet, tireless flow of energy within you. 10. The nervous system and muscles. The story of muscles cannot be told fully without speaking of their constant partner, the nervous system. Muscles are the instruments of motion, but the nervous system is the conductor, guiding when, where, and how they contract. Together they form a union that transforms thought into action, intention into reality. Without the nervous system, muscles would lie dormant, capable of contraction but never called to perform. Without muscles, the nervous system could send signals endlessly, but with no effect on the body. It is in their partnership that the miracle of movement takes place. A partnership so smooth that we often overlook the complexity behind even the smallest gesture. The nervous system communicates with muscles through specialized cells known as motor neurons. These long, branching cells extend from the spinal cord to the muscles, carrying electrical impulses across great distances. At the end of each motor neuron lies a delicate connection point called the neuromuscular junction. Here, the nerve and muscle come close, separated only by a tiny gap. When an electrical signal, or action potential, travels down the neuron, it reaches this junction and releases a chemical messenger called acetylcholine. This messenger crosses the gap and binds to receptors on the muscle fiber, opening channels that allow ions to flow. In that moment, an electrical change spreads along the surface of the muscle, initiating the cascade that leads to contraction. This is the bridge between nerve and muscle, the moment where intention becomes movement. What makes this communication remarkable is its speed and precision. A single action potential travels down a neuron in less than 1,000th of a second, and the muscle responds almost immediately. This rapid exchange allows for smooth, coordinated motion, whether in the fine control of fingers typing on a page, or the powerful surge of legs pushing off the ground. The nervous system can also adjust the strength of a contraction with great subtlety. By sending signals to more or fewer fibers, it can create a gentle touch or a firm grip, a whisper of movement or a burst of power. This fine control is one of the hallmarks of voluntary motion, and one of the reasons human movement can be both strong and graceful. The nervous system also organizes muscles into groups known as motor units. A motor unit consists of a single motor neuron. Some motor units control only a few fibers, providing delicate precision, as in the tiny muscles of the eyes and fingers. Others control thousands of fibers, producing great force, as in the large muscles of the legs and back. The nervous system can activate motor units in different combinations, adjusting the output to meet the demands of the task. This recruitment of motor units is gradual, beginning with small units for gentle movements and adding larger ones as more force is needed. The result is a seamless scaling of strength, from the lightest effort to the heaviest exertion. Beyond voluntary control, the nervous system also guides involuntary muscle activity. Reflexes are an example of this, rapid responses that occur without conscious thought. If you touch something hot, sensors in the skin send signals to the spinal cord, which immediately directs the muscles to withdraw the hand. This occurs faster than the brain can process the sensation, protecting the body from harm. Similarly, reflexes maintain posture and balance, adjusting muscle activity automatically to keep the body steady. These reflexive actions show that the nervous system's partnership with muscles is not limited to conscious intention. It also includes automatic responses that preserve safety and stability. Sensory feedback plays an essential role in this partnership. Within muscles are specialized sensors called muscle spindles, which detect stretching, and Golgi tendon organs, which detect tension. These sensors send constant information to the nervous system about the state of the muscles. If a muscle stretches too quickly, the spindle triggers a reflex contraction to resist the stretch, preventing injury. If tension grows too great, the tendon organ signals the muscle to relax, protecting it from damage. This feedback ensures that muscle activity is always balanced, responsive, and safe. It is an ongoing conversation between muscle and nerve, a dialogue that guides every movement. The nervous system also coordinates muscles across the body, ensuring that movements are smooth and efficient. To take a single step, dozens of muscles must contract and relax in sequence. The nervous system times these contractions precisely, activating some muscles while inhibiting others, adjusting continuously based on feedback from joints, skin, and the inner ear. The result is a motion so natural that it feels effortless, even though it requires complex coordination. This orchestration extends to all actions, from speaking to breathing, from writing to running. Muscles never work alone, but always as part of a network guided by the nervous system. In the brain, different regions contribute to this control. The motor cortex sends signals for voluntary movements, while the cerebellum fine-tunes coordination and balance. The basal ganglia help initiate movement and regulate its smoothness. Even the brainstem contributes, controlling automatic rhythms like breathing. Together, these regions ensure that movements are not only possible, but also refined and adaptable. The nervous system's control of muscles is not rigid but flexible, allowing us to adjust to new tasks, learn new skills, and adapt to changes in the environment. An example of this adaptability can be seen in the process of learning. When someone learns to play an instrument, the nervous system gradually refines its control of the muscles in the hands and arms. At first, movements may be clumsy, requiring conscious effort, but with practice, the brain forms new connections, and the nervous system learns to activate muscles with greater precision. Eventually, the motions become smooth and automatic, guided by memory rather than deliberate thought. This plasticity, the ability to adapt and change, is one of the most remarkable qualities of the nervous system and its partnership with muscles. Even in rest, the nervous system maintains a quiet influence over muscles. It provides a baseline level of stimulation that keeps muscles slightly contracted, a condition known as muscle tone. This tone is not enough to produce motion but ensures that muscles are ready to act at a moment's notice. It also helps maintain posture, keeping the body upright without conscious effort. This subtle influence is another example of how deeply intertwined muscles and nerves are, each relying on the other for function and readiness. As you reflect on this partnership, consider how every movement you make, even the smallest, depends on the dialogue between nervous system and muscle. When you shift your position, countless motor units are activated in just the right sequence. When you take a breath, the brainstem signals the diaphragm to contract, and sensory feedback ensures that the rhythm is steady. When you reach for something, your brain plans the motion, sends signals down the spinal cord, and your muscles respond instantly. All of this occurs without conscious awareness of the complexity involved. You experience only the ease of motion, not the intricate exchanges that make it possible. In the next part of our journey, we will explore how this partnership manifests in the structure of the body itself, beginning with the upper body muscles of the arms, chest, and shoulders. These are the muscles most visible to us, the ones we use for lifting, carrying, and embracing. Yet they too depend entirely on the nervous system's guidance. Each contraction shaped by signals, each movement born from communication. For now, let the thought settle that every motion is not simply the work of muscle or of nerve, but of both together, inseparable, constant companions in the living rhythm of the body. 11. Upper body muscles, arms, chest, and shoulders. The upper body is home to some of the most familiar and visible muscles in the human form. These are the muscles we notice when we lift, when we reach, when we embrace, and when we carry the weight of daily life. The arms, chest, and shoulders form a region of strength, flexibility, and expression, allowing us to interact with the world in ways both powerful and delicate. From the broad muscles of the chest that push and pull, to the rounded muscles of the shoulders that rotate and lift, to the long muscles of the arms that extend and grasp, this part of the body is a landscape of motion. Each muscle contributes to movements we take for granted, movements so natural that their complexity often goes unnoticed. Yet when examined closely, these muscles reveal a beautiful design, one that combines stability with mobility, force with precision. The chest, or thoracic region, is dominated by the pectoralis major, a broad, fan-shaped muscle that spans from the sternum and clavicle to the upper arm bone. the humerus. This muscle is responsible for bringing the arms forward, across the body, and even rotating them inward. It is the muscle that allows us to push open a door, to hold something close, to press against resistance. Beneath it lies the pectoralis minor, smaller but equally important, connecting the ribs to the scapula and helping to stabilize the shoulder blade during motion. Together, these chest muscles provide the foundation for many of the pushing movements of the upper body, working quietly in concert with the shoulders and arms. The shoulders themselves are shaped by the deltoid muscles, which cap the upper arm in a rounded form. The deltoid has 3 parts, or heads, each contributing to different motions. The anterior head lifts the arm forward, the lateral head lifts it to the side, and the posterior head draws it backward. This division of labor allows the shoulder to move in nearly every direction, a versatility unmatched by most other joints. Yet this freedom also requires stability, which is provided by a group of smaller muscles known as the rotator cuff. These 4 muscles, the supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, and subscapularis, wrap around the shoulder joint, holding the head of the humerus securely in its shallow socket, while still allowing a wide range of motion. The balance between mobility and stability is delicate, and it is this balance that gives the shoulder its unique capabilities. Moving down into the arms, we find muscles dedicated to both strength and finesse. At the front of the upper arm lies the biceps brachii, a 2-headed muscle that crosses both the shoulder and the elbow. It is responsible for flexing the elbow, bringing the forearm toward the shoulder, and also for supinating the forearm, turning the palm upward. The biceps are among the most recognized muscles of the body, often associated with displays of strength, yet their true value lies in their versatility and their role in everyday movements. Opposite the biceps, at the back of the arm, lies the triceps brachii, a 3-headed muscle that extends the elbow, straightening the arm. Together, the biceps and triceps form an antagonistic pair, one contracting while the other relaxes, ensuring smooth and controlled motion at the elbow. The forearm contains a dense array of muscles, many of them small but vital for precise control of the hand and wrist. Flexor muscles on the inner forearm bend the fingers and wrist, allowing gripping, grasping, and holding. Extensor muscles on the outer forearm straighten the fingers and extend the wrist, balancing the actions of the flexors. These muscles are not as large or visible as those of the upper arm, yet they are essential for the delicate motions that define human dexterity. The ability to write, to play an instrument, to thread a needle, or to hold an object gently, all of these depend on the coordinated work of the forearm muscles. Behind the chest and shoulders lies the broad expanse of the back, where muscles such as the trapezius and latissimus dorsi shape the upper body's power and posture. The trapezius, stretching from the base of the skull down to the middle of the back and out to the shoulders, helps to lift, rotate, and stabilize the scapulae. It supports the head and neck and contributes to movements such as shrugging or drawing the shoulders together. The latissimus dorsi, one of the largest muscles of the body, spans from the lower back to the upper arm, pulling the arms downward and backward. It is the muscle that allows us to climb, to pull ourselves upward, or to perform powerful strokes in swimming. Together, the muscles of the back complement those of the chest and shoulders, ensuring that the upper body is capable of both pushing and pulling with equal strength. What is remarkable about the muscles of the upper body is not only their power but also their coordination. To perform even a simple action, such as lifting a cup to drink, many muscles must work together. The deltoid lifts the arm, the biceps flex the elbow, the forearm flexors steady the wrist, and smaller stabilizing muscles hold the shoulder and scapula in place. This coordination is so seamless that the complexity is invisible, hidden beneath the simplicity of the action. It is a reminder of how deeply interconnected the muscular system is, each muscle depending on others to fulfill its role. Another dimension of the upper body muscles is their adaptability. With use, they can grow stronger, increasing in size and endurance. With disuse, they weaken, yet they retain the capacity to recover with renewed activity. This adaptability reflects their living nature, their ability to respond to the demands placed upon them. It is also why they can serve both strength and delicacy, adapting to the needs of each person's life. Whether it involves heavy labor, fine craftsmanship, or the quiet motions of daily living. Beyond function, the upper body muscles also contribute to human expression. The gestures of the arms, the embrace of the shoulders, the posture of the chest, all communicate meaning beyond words. To open the arms is to welcome. To cross them is to guard. To lift them is to celebrate. These expressions are possible because of the muscles that guide the motions. Muscles that do not merely serve the body but also serve the language of human connection. As you reflect on the upper body muscles, consider how they are at work in every moment, whether in great effort or quiet rest. Even now, they may be engaged in small adjustments, keeping you comfortable, supporting your posture, readying themselves for the next motion. They are companions in all that you do, from lifting and carrying to writing and embracing, always responsive, always prepared. In the next part of our journey, we will move downward to the muscles of the lower body, exploring the strength of the thighs, the resilience of the calves, and the stability of the hips. These are the muscles that carry the weight of the body, that allow walking and balance. Together with the muscles of the upper body, they complete the picture of human motion, a harmony of strength, endurance, and grace. For now, let the thought of the upper body muscles linger as a quiet reminder of the strength and versatility that resides within you, always present, always serving with tireless devotion. 12. Lower body muscles, legs and hips. The muscles of the lower body form one of the most powerful and enduring regions of the human frame. They are the foundation upon which the rest of the body stands, the engines that propel us forward, the stabilizers that keep us upright, and the partners that absorb the weight of every step. When we walk, when we run, when we rise from sitting, or when we simply stand still, it is the muscles of the legs and hips that make these actions possible. They are designed for strength and resilience, built to carry the body through countless movements across a lifetime. To reflect on them is to recognize the silent workhorses of human mobility, ever steady, ever faithful, and yet often taken for granted. The hips are central to this system, anchoring the legs to the torso and providing the flexibility and stability needed for motion. At the core of the hip region lie the gluteal muscles, the gluteus maximus, gluteus medius, and gluteus minimus. The gluteus maximus, the largest muscle of the body, extends the thigh backward and provides power for climbing, running, and standing from a seated position. It is a muscle of propulsion, propelling the body upward and forward with each stride. The gluteus medius and minimus, lying deeper, stabilize the pelvis during walking, ensuring that each step is smooth and balanced. Without their quiet work, the pelvis would tilt from side to side, making steady walking impossible. These muscles, though often unnoticed, are the guardians of balance, holding the body steady with each movement of the legs. Moving into the thighs, we encounter some of the most powerful muscles of the human body. At the front of the thigh lies the quadriceps femoris, a group of 4 muscles, the rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus medialis, and vastus intermedius that extend the knee. The quadriceps are essential for standing, walking, running, and jumping, providing the force that straightens the leg and supports the weight of the body. They are the muscles that lift us from a chair, that push us upward when climbing stairs, that drive us forward in every step. Their strength is immense, and yet their coordination is equally important, for they must act in harmony to control motion smoothly. At the back of the thigh lies the hamstring group, composed of the biceps femoris, semitendinosus, and semimembranosus. These muscles flex the knee and extend the hip, acting as antagonists to the quadriceps. They are engaged when we bend the knee, when we lean forward, or when we prepare to push off in running. Their elasticity allows for swift and powerful motion, and their balance with the quadriceps ensures that the leg moves in a controlled and stable way. The interplay between quadriceps and hamstrings is a perfect example of muscular harmony, two groups working in opposition, yet complementing each other, each movement requiring both contraction and release. Deeper within the thigh lie the adductors, a group of muscles that draw the legs toward the midline of the body. These muscles stabilize the legs during walking, preventing them from splaying outward, and contribute to movements such as crossing the legs or maintaining balance on uneven ground. Though less celebrated than the quadriceps or hamstrings, the adductors provide quiet stability, holding the legs in alignment and supporting the motions of the hips and thighs. The muscles of the lower leg add to this system with their own contributions. At the front of the shin lies the tibialis anterior, which lifts the foot upward, an action called dorsiflexion. This muscle plays a vital role in walking, preventing the foot from dragging as the leg swings forward. At the back of the lower leg are the powerful calf muscles, the gastrocnemius and soleus. These muscles join to form the Achilles tendon, which attaches to the heel bone. Together, they point the foot downward in plantar flexion, providing the push that propels the body forward in walking, running, and jumping. The calf muscles are also active in standing, working constantly to maintain balance by adjusting subtle shifts of the body. Their endurance is remarkable, for they remain engaged almost without pause throughout the day. Another group of muscles within the lower leg controls the movement of the toes, both flexing and extending them. These muscles, though small, provide the fine adjustments needed for balance and grip. They allow the foot to adapt to varied surfaces, to steady the body on uneven ground, and to contribute to the graceful motions of walking and running. Though often overlooked, the muscles of the foot and toes are an essential part of the lower body's design, supporting the foundation upon which the rest of the body rests. The hips and thighs are also home to deeper muscles that guide rotation and stability. Among these are the piriformis, the obturator muscles, and the gemelli, small but important muscles that rotate the thigh and stabilize the hip joint. Their role may not be as visible as that of the quadriceps or hamstrings, but without them, the complex motions of the hip would lack precision. They act as fine-tuners, adjusting the alignment of the hip joint and ensuring smooth motion. Together, the muscles of the lower body form a system designed for endurance, strength, and adaptability. They allow humans to stand upright, a defining feature of our species, and to walk long distances with efficiency. They absorb the impact of each step, protecting the bones and joints from strain. They provide the force for running, climbing, and jumping, enabling us to move with both speed and power. And they do all this while maintaining balance and posture, holding the body steady against the pull of gravity. The lower body muscles also reveal the deep connection between form and function. The quadriceps are broad and powerful, suited for lifting and pushing. The hamstrings are long and elastic, suited for swift, pulling motions. The calf muscles are compact yet strong, designed for endurance. The gluteal muscles combine size with stability, anchoring the body's center of mass. Each muscle has its place. Each contributes to the whole, and together they form a system capable of remarkable feats. As with the upper body, The lower body muscles are also adaptable. They grow stronger with use, more enduring with training, and they weaken when neglected. They record the story of activity, reflecting whether the body has been carried through long walks, hard labor, or restful stillness. They respond to the demands of life, shaping themselves to the patterns of movement and rest. Their capacity to adapt is part of what makes them living tissues, ever responsive, ever changing. Beyond their physical role, the muscles of the lower body also carry symbolic meaning. To stand upright is to face the world with strength. To walk is to journey, to progress, to explore. To run is to surge forward with energy and intent. These actions, so deeply woven into human life, are possible only because of the muscles of the legs and hips. They are not merely tissues of flesh and fiber, but the foundation of our relationship with the world, allowing us to move through it with independence and grace. As you reflect on the lower body muscles, consider how they are at work even now, supporting your posture, balancing your weight, ready to carry you wherever you wish to go. They are the steadfast companions of every step, the silent guardians of balance, the engines of motion. In the next part of our journey, we will turn to the core muscles, those that stabilize the spine and support the posture of the body as a whole. For now, let the thought of the lower body muscles rest with you as a reminder of the strength beneath you, the resilience that carries you, and the quiet endurance that sustains every journey. 13. Core muscles and the spine. At the very center of the human body lies a region that is both strong and subtle, powerful yet often unnoticed. These are the core muscles, the bands of tissue that encircle the trunk, supporting the spine, anchoring the hips, and connecting the upper and lower body. Though people often think of the core as simply the abdominal muscles visible on the surface, in truth it is a much larger and deeper system, one that includes layers of muscles along the front, the sides, and the back of the torso. These muscles do not merely provide movement, they provide stability, posture, and the essential foundation upon which all other motion depends. To understand the core muscles is to see the body's central pillar, a structure of balance and endurance, one that quietly sustains every action, from the smallest gesture to the most powerful stride. The spine itself, running through the center of the back, is a column of bones, or vertebrae, separated by cushioning discs. It provides the framework for the trunk, protecting the spinal cord while allowing flexibility and motion. Yet the spine alone cannot bear the weight of the body or maintain upright posture. It is the surrounding muscles, along with ligaments and tendons, that hold the spine steady and allow it to move in controlled ways. Without the core muscles, the spine would collapse under the body's weight, unable to maintain its elegant balance between strength and mobility. At the front of the torso, the most visible core muscles are the rectus abdominis, a long, flat muscle that runs vertically from the pubic bone to the sternum. This is the muscle often associated with the six-pack appearance, though its true purpose is far deeper than appearance alone. The rectus abdominis flexes the spine, bringing the rib cage closer to the pelvis, as in bending forward. It also stabilizes the trunk, resisting extension, and helps control breathing by assisting in forced exhalation. Beneath it and alongside it are layers of muscles that provide additional support. The external obliques, running diagonally across the sides of the abdomen, allow the trunk to twist and bend sideways. Beneath them lie the internal obliques, running in the opposite diagonal direction, creating a crisscross pattern of fibers that add strength and stability. Together, these oblique muscles form a supportive wrap around the torso, guiding rotation, assisting in lateral bending, and stabilizing the spine during movement. Deepest of all is the transverse abdominis, a horizontal sheet of muscle that acts like a corset, compressing the abdomen and holding the organs in place. It is this muscle that provides the deepest layer of stability, bracing the spine and preparing the body for movement. At the back of the core, running alongside the spine, are the erector spinae muscles. This group includes long, vertical bands that extend the length of the back from the pelvis to the skull. Their primary function is to extend the spine, straightening it from a bent position, and to maintain upright posture. They also assist in bending the spine backward and sideways, as well as controlling rotation. Their endurance is remarkable, for they remain engaged even when standing still, working tirelessly to hold the body upright against gravity. Supporting them are smaller, deeper muscles, such as the multifidus, which stabilize individual vertebrae and prevent unwanted motion. These small muscles may not produce great power, but they are essential for fine control and protection of the spine. The core also includes muscles of the hips and pelvis, such as the iliopsoas, which connects the lower spine to the femur, flexing the hip and stabilizing the trunk. The pelvic floor muscles, though often overlooked, provide crucial support at the base of the core, holding the pelvic organs and contributing to posture and breathing. The diaphragm, a dome-shaped muscle beneath the lungs, is also part of this system. It contracts and relaxes with each breath, but it also interacts with the abdominal and spinal muscles to maintain internal pressure and stabilize the trunk. In this way, the core muscles are not a single group, but a complex network linking the front, sides, back, top, and base of the torso. The function of the core muscles extends beyond movement. They act as the body's stabilizing center, creating a firm foundation for the arms and legs to act upon. When lifting an object, for example, the arms and legs generate the motion, but the core muscles stabilize the spine, preventing injury and allowing force to be transmitted efficiently. When walking or running, the core holds the trunk steady, preventing excessive sway and keeping the motion smooth. Even in stillness, the core is active, maintaining posture while sitting, standing, or lying down. Its work is continuous, often unnoticed, yet vital to every action. The importance of the core is especially evident in posture. An upright posture requires a balance of forces between the front and back of the torso. The abdominal muscles prevent excessive arching of the lower back, while the spinal muscles prevent the trunk from collapsing forward. The obliques prevent tipping to the sides, and the deeper stabilizers control the alignment of the vertebrae. This balance is dynamic, constantly adjusting to small shifts in position, to changes in weight, and to the pull of gravity. Posture is not a fixed state but a living equilibrium, maintained by the quiet, ongoing activity of the core muscles. Another remarkable feature of the core is its role in breathing. With each inhalation, the diaphragm contracts and descends, while the abdominal muscles lengthen to accommodate the expanding lungs. With each exhalation, the diaphragm relaxes, and the abdominal muscles contract gently, pressing the air outward. During deep or forceful breathing, such as in singing or exertion, the obliques and transverse abdominis become more active, compressing the abdomen and aiding the expulsion of air. Thus, the act of breathing, so constant and essential, is shaped by the interplay of core muscles, linking life's rhythm to the body's center. The adaptability of the core is also profound. With regular use, it grows stronger and more resilient, capable of supporting greater loads and maintaining better alignment. When neglected, it weakens, leading to poor posture, instability, and increased risk of injury. This responsiveness reflects its living nature, ever attuned to the demands placed upon it. Strengthening the core does not simply add power but enhances balance, coordination, and endurance across the whole body. It is the foundation upon which other movements are built, the anchor that allows the limbs to act freely and effectively. The symbolism of the core is also worth noting. To have a strong core is often seen as having a strong center, both physically and metaphorically. It represents stability, balance, and resilience. Just as the muscles of the core protect the spine and support the body, so too does a sense of inner strength protect and support the self. This connection between physical and symbolic core reflects how deeply the body and mind are intertwined, each mirroring the other in subtle ways. As you reflect on the core muscles and the spine, consider how they are at work even in this quiet moment. They are holding you upright, guiding your posture, stabilizing your trunk with each breath. They are not loud or dramatic, but steady and enduring, the silent framework that sustains all else. In the next part of our journey, we will turn to the muscles of the face and head, those that shape expression, speech, and the simple act of chewing. For now, let the thought of the core remain with you, a reminder that strength begins at the center, that stability is the foundation of motion, and that beneath every action lies the quiet support of the muscles that encircle the spine. 14. Muscles of the face and head. Among the many muscles of the human body, none are as intimately connected with identity, expression, and communication as those of the face and head. These muscles are not designed for great strength or for carrying weight. They are instead designed for subtlety, for shaping the smallest details of movement, and for translating emotions into visible form. They allow us to smile, to frown, to blink, to chew, to speak, and to convey meaning without a word. The muscles of the face and head are delicate, complex, and finely tuned, a network of fibers that give human interaction its depth and richness. To reflect on them is to see how deeply muscles influence not just survival, but also the experience of connection and expression. Unlike most muscles of the body, which attach to bones on both ends, many facial muscles attach directly to the skin. This unique arrangement allows them to pull the skin itself, creating the expressions that reveal joy, sadness, surprise, or thoughtfulness. The orbicularis oculi, for instance, is a circular muscle surrounding the eye. When it contracts, it closes the eyelid, allowing us to blink, to squint, or to shut the eyes completely. Its gentle motion keeps the eyes moist and protected, while its more forceful action shapes expressions of laughter or determination. Around the mouth lies another circular muscle, the orbicularis oris, often called the kissing muscle. It allows the lips to close, to pucker, to form words, and to express tenderness. These circular muscles, framing the windows of the eyes and the gateway of the mouth, are central to both function and expression. The forehead is shaped by the frontalis muscle, which lifts the eyebrows and wrinkles the skin of the forehead. This simple action conveys a vast range of meaning, from surprise to curiosity to concern. Working in opposition is the corrugator supercilii, a small muscle that draws the eyebrows downward and inward, creating the furrows of concentration or worry. These muscles demonstrate how even the smallest contractions can change the entire character of the face, reflecting inner states that words may not capture. The cheeks, too, are home to muscles of expression and function. The zygomaticus major and minor extend from the cheekbones to the corners of the mouth, drawing the lips upward and outward in a smile. The risorius, pulling from the side of the face, also contributes to smiling, though in a subtler way. In contrast, the depressor, anguli oris, pulls the corners of the mouth downward, creating expressions of sadness or disapproval. The buccinator, lying deeper, compresses the cheeks, allowing us to blow air, whistle, or keep food positioned between the teeth while chewing. This blend of expressive and functional roles highlights the versatility of the cheek muscles, serving both communication and daily tasks. At the jaw, The muscles of mastication chewing form one of the most powerful systems of the head. The masseter, running from the cheekbone to the lower jaw, is one of the strongest muscles of the body relative to its size. It elevates the mandible, closing the mouth with great force, enabling us to bite and chew food. The temporalis, a fan-shaped muscle on the side of the head, also elevates the mandible and assists in retracting it. Deeper within the jaw lie the medial and lateral pterygoid muscles, which guide side-to-side and forward-backward movements of the jaw. Together, these muscles allow us to grind food thoroughly, preparing it for digestion. They also contribute to speech, shaping the movements of the jaw that form different sounds. Their strength is immense, yet their motion is precise, reflecting the balance between force and control. The muscles of the nose, though small, contribute to subtle expressions and functions. The nasalis compresses or flares the nostrils, influencing breathing as well as emotional expression. The procerus draws the skin between the eyebrows downward, creating expressions of focus or displeasure. Though less noticeable than the larger facial muscles, these small fibers add nuance to the language of the face, completing the palette of human expression. Around the ears are tiny muscles called the auricular muscles, which in some people allow slight movement of the ears, though not as developed in humans as in other animals, where they are used to orient the ears toward sounds. These muscles remain as quiet remnants of a more ancient function. Their presence reminds us of the evolutionary history shared across species, where muscles serve both survival and expression in varied ways. The tongue, though often overlooked as a muscle, is one of the most remarkable of all. It is composed of both intrinsic muscles, which change its shape, and extrinsic muscles, which move it within the mouth. The tongue is essential for speech, for manipulating food during chewing, and for swallowing. Its flexibility and strength allow for a vast range of motions, from delicate articulation of words to the powerful push that moves food to the throat. The tongue is also a sensory organ, housing the taste buds that allow us to experience flavor. It is, in many ways, a muscle of both function and sensation, deeply tied to nourishment and communication alike. The head also contains muscles that guide essential protective actions. The platysma, a thin sheet of muscle extending from the chest to the jaw, tenses the skin of the neck and helps to depress the jaw. Though its role in expression is subtle, it contributes to the overall tension and relaxation of the lower face and neck. Muscles surrounding the pharynx and larynx guide swallowing and vocalization, ensuring that food passes safely into the esophagus and that air passes into the lungs. These muscles, though less visible, are vital for life itself, coordinating the delicate balance between eating, breathing, and speaking. What sets the muscles of the face and head apart from those elsewhere in the body is their intimate connection with communication. A lifted eyebrow, a gentle smile, a tightened jaw, a blink all convey meaning without words. These muscles allow us to connect with others, to share emotions, to express thought, and to build bonds of understanding. They make possible the human capacity for expression, turning invisible feelings into visible signs. In this sense, they are not only functional but deeply expressive, shaping the way we live in relationship with others. They also remind us of the close link between muscles and identity. The way a person smiles, the tilt of the head, the expressiveness of the eyes, all are shaped by the unique patterns of their facial muscles. No two people express themselves in exactly the same way. These muscles, though small, give individuality to every face, contributing to the sense of self that others recognize instantly. They are as much a part of who we are as our voice or our posture, woven into the fabric of personality and presence. As you reflect on the muscles of the face and head, consider how they are at work even now, Your eyes blink to keep themselves moist. Your jaw may shift slightly, guided by the muscles of chewing and speech. Subtle expressions may pass across your face without you noticing. The smallest contractions, shaping meaning beyond words. These muscles are always active, guiding not only the essential functions of eating and breathing, but also the countless expressions that make communication possible. In the next part of our journey, we will turn to the muscles of breathing, the diaphragm and its companions, whose rhythmic contractions sustain life with every breath. For now, let the thought of the face and head muscles remain with you, a reminder that even the smallest fibers can carry great importance, shaping identity, expression, and the delicate acts of daily life. They are the muscles of connection, giving the human face its endless variety, and allowing us to live not only in motion but also in expression and meaning. 15. Muscles of breathing. Breathing is one of the most constant and essential rhythms of life, a cycle that continues quietly from the moment of birth until the final moments of life. It occurs so naturally that we rarely notice it. Yet behind each breath is the intricate work of muscles, contracting and relaxing in perfect coordination. These muscles, though often unnoticed, sustain the very act of living, drawing oxygen into the body and expelling carbon dioxide with every cycle. Among them, the diaphragm holds the central role, supported by other muscles of the chest, back, and abdomen. Together they create the movements of inhalation and exhalation, movements so gentle and steady that they become the background to every waking moment and every dream-filled night. At the heart of breathing lies the diaphragm, a dome-shaped muscle that separates the thoracic cavity, which houses the lungs and heart, from the abdominal cavity below. When the diaphragm contracts, it flattens and moves downward, increasing the volume of the thoracic cavity. As the cavity expands, the pressure within it decreases, and air is drawn into the lungs. When the diaphragm relaxes, it rises once more into its dome-like shape, reducing the volume of the thoracic cavity and gently pushing air out. This simple movement, repeated countless times a day, is the essence of breathing. It is automatic, rhythmic, and tireless, sustained by a muscle that works without rest for an entire lifetime. Supporting the diaphragm are the intercostal muscles, which lie between the ribs. These muscles are divided into external and internal layers, each contributing to different phases of breathing. The external intercostals lift the ribs upward and outward during inhalation, further expanding the chest and aiding the flow of air into the lungs. The internal intercostals, in contrast, assist in forced exhalation, drawing the ribs downward and inward to push air out more forcefully. In quiet breathing, the diaphragm does most of the work, but during deeper or more vigorous breathing, the intercostals join in, expanding and contracting the ribcage in rhythm with the diaphragm. Additional muscles come into play when breathing becomes more demanding. During heavy exertion, or when the body requires more oxygen, accessory muscles assist inhalation. The sternocleidomastoid muscles in the neck lift the sternum, while the scalene muscles raise the first two ribs, increasing the capacity of the chest. In the abdomen, muscles such as the rectus abdominis and obliques contract during forced exhalation, pushing the abdominal contents upward against the diaphragm and helping to expel air more quickly. This coordinated effort ensures that breathing can adapt to the body's needs, whether in the quiet of rest or the intensity of effort. The muscles of breathing also play a vital role in maintaining posture and stability. When the diaphragm contracts, it not only moves downward, but also increases pressure within the abdominal cavity. This pressure helps stabilize the spine, providing support for lifting and other movements. The abdominal muscles, in turn, interact with the diaphragm to regulate this pressure, balancing the demands of breathing with the need for stability. Thus, The act of breathing is not separate from posture but intimately connected to it, with the muscles of respiration serving dual roles in sustaining both life and movement. What makes the muscles of breathing especially remarkable is their endurance. Unlike skeletal muscles that can rest between movements, the diaphragm and its companions must remain active at all times. The diaphragm alone contracts and relaxes approximately 12 to 20 times per minute at rest, more during exertion. Over the course of a day, this amounts to more than 20,000 breaths, each one powered by muscular effort. Over a lifetime, the diaphragm contracts hundreds of millions of times, never ceasing, never growing weary in the way other muscles do. This endurance is sustained by the diaphragm's rich supply of blood vessels and mitochondria, ensuring a constant flow of oxygen and energy. The rhythm of breathing is guided by the nervous system, specifically by centers in the brainstem that generate automatic signals. These signals travel through the phrenic nerves to the diaphragm, prompting it to contract, and through spinal nerves to the intercostals and other muscles. Though breathing can be controlled voluntarily for short periods, such as when speaking, singing, or holding the breath, it quickly returns to its automatic rhythm, maintained without conscious thought. This dual nature, both voluntary and involuntary, is part of what makes breathing unique among muscular functions. It serves both survival and expression, sustaining life while also enabling speech, song, and communication. The connection between breathing and emotion is another reflection of the muscle's subtle influence. Breathing changes with mood. It quickens with excitement, deepens with calm, grows shallow with fear, and steadies with relaxation. These changes are not merely symbolic but physical, guided by the contraction and relaxation of respiratory muscles. Practices such as deep breathing or meditation take advantage of this connection, using the muscles of breathing to influence the state of mind. In this way, the diaphragm and its companions become bridges between body and emotion, linking the physical act of respiration to the inner experience of calm or stress. Breathing muscles also serve protective functions. A sudden contraction of the diaphragm produces a hiccup, while coordinated contractions of respiratory and abdominal muscles create a cough, expelling irritants from the airways. Sneezing, too, is the result of a forceful contraction, clearing the nasal passages of particles. These reflexes, though sometimes disruptive, serve to protect the lungs and maintain clear airways. They remind us that the muscles of breathing are not only engines of air movement but also guardians of respiratory health. In reflecting on the muscles of breathing, it is striking to realize how constant and unnoticed their work island. We rarely pause to think of the diaphragm descending or the intercostals lifting the ribs, yet without them, life would cease within moments. They are the quiet companions of every breath, the silent partners of life's most essential rhythm. Even now, as you rest, these muscles are at work, drawing air in, pushing it out, sustaining the flow of oxygen that nourishes every cell. As the lecture continues, we will move from the rhythm of breathing to the broader harmony of movement, exploring how muscles coordinate and balance the body. But for now, let the thought of the respiratory muscles remain with you, steady and calming, a reminder that each breath is supported by tireless fibers, contracting in rhythm, a rhythm as old as life itself, as constant as the heartbeat, and as gentle as the rise and fall of the chest in rest. 16. Muscle coordination and balance. When we think of muscles, it is easy to imagine them working in isolation. A bicep flexing to bend the arm, a quadriceps extending to straighten the leg, a diaphragm contracting to draw in breath. Yet in reality, muscles rarely act alone. The movements of the human body arise from coordination, from countless muscles contracting and relaxing together in carefully timed patterns. Balance, posture, and fluidity are not the result of strength alone, but of harmony among many muscles, each contributing its part. To understand muscle coordination and balance is to see how the body achieves grace and stability, how it transforms separate fibers and groups into a seamless whole. Muscle coordination begins with the concept of agonists and antagonists. For every movement, there is a primary mover, known as the agonist, and an opposing muscle, known as the antagonist. When you bend your elbow, the biceps brachii serve as the agonist, contracting to pull the forearm upward, while the triceps brachii act as the antagonist. When you straighten the elbow, with the triceps becoming the agonist and the biceps, this alternating pattern ensures smooth and controlled motion, preventing jerks or uncontrolled force. It is a dialogue of contraction and relaxation, a constant negotiation between pairs of muscles, but the dialogue extends beyond simple pairs. Many movements require the cooperation of synergist muscles, which assist the agonist in its action, adding strength or refining the direction of motion. For example, when lifting an object, smaller muscles in the forearm assist the biceps, stabilizing the wrist and hand. At the same time, stabilizer muscles hold joints steady, preventing unwanted movement. The deltoids and trapezius may act as stabilizers during arm motion, ensuring that the shoulder remains aligned. These roles, agonist, antagonist, synergist, stabilizer, shift continually depending on the task. What matters is the coordination among them, the way they combine to create motion that is both efficient and graceful. Coordination also depends on timing. Muscles must not only contract but contract at the right moment, in the right sequence. To take a step, the quadriceps extend the knee, the hamstrings prepare the leg for swing, the gluteals stabilize the pelvis, and the calf muscles push the body forward. The core muscles hold the trunk steady, while the arms swing gently in counterbalance. Each contraction is brief, but together they form a continuous cycle, repeated with every step. The nervous system orchestrates this sequence, sending signals at precise moments, adjusting instantly to changes in terrain, balance, or speed. Walking may feel simple, yet it is a masterpiece of coordination, a flowing pattern of muscular activity sustained without conscious thought. Balance is another expression of muscular coordination, a constant adjustment to keep the body aligned against gravity. Even in stillness, muscles are active, making tiny corrections to posture. The calf muscles contract and release to keep the body from swaying forward or backward. The core muscles adjust tension to hold the spine upright. The muscles of the neck respond to the slightest shift of the head, ensuring that vision remains steady. These corrections are so subtle that they often go unnoticed, yet without them, the sensation of standing still is in truth an illusion. Beneath the surface, muscles are always active, maintaining equilibrium through a dance of small adjustments. The inner ear plays an important role in this process, housing structures that detect motion and position. When the head tilts or the body shifts, sensors in the inner ear send signals to the nervous system, which then directs muscles to respond. If the body leans forward, the calf muscles contract to restore balance. If it sways to the side, the hip and thigh muscles engage. Vision also contributes, as the eyes detect orientation and provide feedback. Together, the muscles, nerves, and senses create a system of balance that is both responsive and adaptive, capable of adjusting to uneven ground, sudden movements, or unexpected changes in weight. Coordination is not limited to large motions like walking or standing. It is equally essential in fine motor skills, where precision is required. Writing with a pen, playing a musical instrument, or threading a needle all depend on the coordinated work of small muscles in the hands, wrists, and forearms. These actions require not only strength but control, with muscles contracting in exact amounts, neither too much nor too little. The nervous system refines this control through feedback, constantly adjusting the tension of each muscle to achieve the desired motion. The result is the ability to perform tasks of remarkable delicacy, movements so precise that they define human dexterity. Coordination is also shaped by practice. When we learn a new skill, such as riding a bicycle or playing a new sport, movements may feel clumsy at first. Muscles may not yet contract in the right sequence, or stabilizers may not engage effectively. With repetition, the nervous system refines its signals. Muscles learn to work together, and the motion becomes smoother. This process, known as motor learning, is an example of how coordination develops over time. It reflects the adaptability of both muscles and nerves, their ability to improve through experience. Once mastered, many of these skills become automatic, requiring little conscious effort. The muscles and nervous system remember the sequence, performing it fluidly whenever called upon. Another dimension of coordination is symmetry. The body relies on muscles on both sides working in balance. If one side is stronger or more active, motion may become uneven, leading to strain or inefficiency. This is why training often emphasizes balance development, ensuring that both sides of the body contribute equally. Symmetry is not only a matter of strength but of harmony, with muscles on either side, complementing one another. Even in complex actions like running, where one leg pushes off as the other prepares to land, the balance between sides is essential for fluid motion. Fatigue can disrupt coordination, as tired muscles respond less precisely to signals. When this occurs, movements may become less stable, balance more difficult to maintain. The nervous system may attempt to compensate, recruiting other muscles to assist, but the result is often less efficient. This interplay between energy and coordination highlights the importance of endurance, not only for strength, but for balance and control. The ability of muscles to sustain coordinated activity over time is a hallmark of physical resilience. Beyond survival and function, coordination and balance also contribute to the beauty of movement. In dance, in athletics, in simple gestures of grace, it is the harmony of muscles that creates fluidity. The body moves not in isolated parts, but as a whole, each muscle contributing to the flow of motion. This unity is deeply human, a reflection of the body's capacity for both strength and artistry. Even ordinary actions, walking across a room, reaching for an object, sitting down, contain within them the same harmony, a quiet choreography of muscular coordination. As you reflect on coordination and balance, consider how they are at work even now. The muscles of your back and abdomen hold you steady. The muscles of your legs adjust subtly, keeping you balanced. The muscles of your neck and eyes maintain alignment, ensuring that your vision remains clear. All of this occurs without conscious thought, a constant background of activity that allows you to move with ease. In the next part of our journey, we will explore how muscles grow and repair, how they respond to activity and rest, and how they adapt to the demands of life. For now, let the thought of coordination remain with you, a reminder that muscles do not act alone but together, in harmony, creating the balance and fluidity that make every movement possible. 17. Muscle growth and repair. Muscles are not static structures. They are living tissues, dynamic and responsive, capable of adapting to the demands placed upon them. When we move, when we exert effort, when we rest, the muscles respond in subtle and powerful ways. They can grow stronger, they can become more enduring, and they can repair themselves when damaged. This ability to change is one of the defining features of muscles, a reflection of their living nature. To understand muscle growth and repair, is to see how the body renews itself, how it adapts to challenge, and how it recovers from strain. Muscle growth, known as hypertrophy, occurs when fibers increase in size. This is not the creation of new fibers, but the enlargement of existing ones. Within each muscle fiber are myofibrils, the microscopic strands that contain the proteins, actin, and myosin. When muscles are subjected to stress, such as lifting, carrying, or other forms of exertion, tiny disruptions occur within these myofibrils. The stress is not harmful in itself, but serves as a signal to the body. In response, the muscle initiates processes of repair and adaptation, strengthening the fibers and adding new proteins. Over time, this cycle of stress and repair leads to larger, stronger fibers, and thus to greater muscle mass. The repair process begins almost immediately after exertion. Specialized cells known as satellite cells, located on the surface of muscle fibers, play a central role. When a fiber is stressed or slightly damaged, these satellite cells become activated. They multiply and fuse with the affected fiber, contributing new nuclei and supporting the production of additional proteins. In this way, they help rebuild the fiber stronger than before. Satellite cells are a reservoir of potential, quiet during times of rest but ready to act when needed. Their presence ensures that muscles are not only able to endure stress, but also to adapt and grow from it. The process of growth is supported by the body's supply of nutrients and energy. Proteins from food provide the amino acids needed to build new muscle proteins. Carbohydrates replenish glycogen stores, ensuring energy is available for repair. Fats provide essential components for cell membranes and hormones that influence growth. Even sleep plays a vital role, as many of the body's repair processes are most active during rest. In this way, muscle growth is not the result of exertion alone, but of a balance between challenge and recovery. Between stress and restoration, repair also occurs after more significant damage, such as injury. When a muscle fiber is torn or strained, inflammation begins the healing process. Immune cells arrive to clear away damaged tissue and to release signals that attract satellite cells. These cells then move to the site of damage, fusing with existing fibers or even forming new fibers if needed. Over time, the tissue rebuilds, often regaining strength and function. The process may be slower than after ordinary exertion, but it reflects the same principle. Muscles are designed not only to endure but to renew themselves. What is remarkable about muscle repair is its balance between vulnerability and resilience. Muscles can be injured, they can tire, they can weaken with disuse, yet they also have an extraordinary capacity for recovery, a resilience that ensures survival. This balance allows the body to adapt to changing conditions, to grow stronger in response to challenge, and to heal after strain. It is part of the reason humans are capable of such varied activity. From endurance to strength, from fine control to powerful exertion, growth and repair are not limited to size and strength alone. Muscles also adapt in other ways. Endurance training, for example, may not increase muscle size dramatically, but enhances their capacity for sustained effort. This occurs through an increase in mitochondria within the fibers, improving their ability to produce energy. It also involves greater blood supply, as new capillaries form to deliver oxygen and nutrients more efficiently. These adaptations reflect the versatility of muscles, their ability to change not only in form but in function, according to the demands of life. The nervous system also contributes to adaptation. In the early stages of training or new activity, improvements in strength often come not from increased size, but from better coordination. The nervous system learns to activate more fibers at once, to recruit them in more efficient patterns, and to reduce unnecessary opposition from antagonist muscles. This neural adaptation complements the physical growth of the fibers, showing once again that muscles and nerves are partners in every aspect of motion. Aging influences the processes of growth and repair, gradually reducing the efficiency of satellite cells and the body's capacity to adapt. Muscle fibers may shrink, and overall mass may decline, a process known as sarcopenia. Yet, even in later life, muscles retain their responsiveness. With activity and proper care, they can still grow stronger, still repair themselves, and still adapt. The decline is real but not absolute, and the resilience of muscle remains a constant companion across the lifespan. The symbolic meaning of muscle growth and repair is as compelling as the physical process itself. It reflects the principle that challenge leads to strength, that stress followed by recovery results in resilience. Just as fibers become stronger after repair, so too does the human spirit often grow stronger after trials. The body and mind share this rhythm of strain, renewal, and adaptation, each learning and growing through cycles of effort and rest. As you reflect on the growth and repair of muscles, consider how these processes are occurring in your own body even now. Perhaps some fibers are rebuilding after small exertions, satellite cells quietly at work. Perhaps adaptations are unfolding in mitochondria or capillaries, preparing muscles for future demands. These changes are invisible, yet they are real, part of the ongoing renewal that defines living tissue. Even in rest, muscles are not idle but engaged in quiet processes of repair and preparation. In the next part of our journey, we will explore how muscles change with age, how they adapt to the passing of time, and how they remain resilient even as the years progress. For now, let the thought of growth and repair remain with you, a reminder that muscles are not fixed but ever-changing, living tissues that respond to life with strength, resilience, and renewal. 18. Aging and muscles. From the first stirrings of life in infancy to the strength of youth, from the endurance of adulthood to the gentler rhythms of later years, muscles travel with us through every stage of existence. They change as we change, reflecting the passage of time in their strength, endurance, and responsiveness. Just as the skin gathers lines and the hair turns silver, so too do the muscles bear the mark of age. Yet, unlike inanimate matter, they remain living tissues, capable of renewal and adaptation, even as the years advance. To reflect on aging and muscles is to see not only decline but resilience, not only change but continuity, as muscles continue to serve life faithfully across all seasons. In youth, muscles are supple and responsive, filled with fibers that grow quickly in size and strength with use. Recovery after exertion is rapid, and repair after injury is efficient. The body is primed for growth, guided by hormones that encourage the building of new proteins and the activation of satellite cells that support fiber repair. During these years, muscles can adapt dramatically to activity, becoming stronger, faster, or more enduring depending on how they are used. It is a time when the potential of the muscular system is at its peak, and yet even in this peak lies the beginning of a longer journey. As adulthood progresses, muscles often settle into balance, maintaining strength and endurance with less dramatic change. Adaptation continues, but at a steadier pace. Activity remains a powerful influence, shaping muscles according to the patterns of daily life, but the ease of growth begins to soften. Still, in this stage, muscles remain resilient, capable of strength, repair, and adaptation with use. They are, in many ways, at their most reliable, carrying the body through the demands of work, family, and life's many activities. With age, however, changes begin to appear more noticeably. One of the most significant changes is sarcopenia, the gradual loss of muscle mass and strength. This process often begins around the fourth decade of life and accelerates in later years. Fibers shrink in size, the number of fibers may decrease, and the balance between slow twitch and fast twitch fibers shifts. Fast twitch fibers, responsible for quick and powerful movements, tend to decline more rapidly, leaving a greater proportion of slow twitch fibers, which are suited for endurance. This shift reflects the body's adaptation to a gentler rhythm, but it also means that explosive strength may diminish over time. The loss of muscle mass is influenced by many factors. Hormonal changes play a role, as levels of growth hormone and testosterone decrease with age. The activity of satellite cells, vital for repair and growth, also declines, making recovery slower and less complete. The nervous system, too, contributes, as the efficiency of motor neurons in activating muscle fibers diminishes. Together, these changes create the gradual weakening that is often associated with aging. Yet this process is not uniform or inevitable. It varies greatly among individuals and can be slowed or mitigated by lifestyle. Activity remains a powerful force in preserving muscle function. Muscles respond to use even in later years, growing stronger with resistance training, becoming more enduring with regular movement, and retaining flexibility with stretching. Those who remain active often maintain muscle mass and strength well into old age, while inactivity accelerates decline. The principle of use it or lose it is especially true for muscles, whose very nature is to adapt to the demands placed upon them. Even in advanced age, the capacity for adaptation remains, a reflection of the resilience built into living tissue. Another change with age is the slowing of recovery. Where once muscles repaired themselves quickly after exertion or strain, now the process takes longer. Inflammation may linger, soreness may be more noticeable, and injuries may heal more slowly. This does not mean that muscles cease to repair, but rather that patience becomes part of the process. The body still renews itself, still adapts, but the rhythm is gentler, requiring more time for restoration. In this slower pace, there is a reminder of the body's wisdom, of the need for balance between exertion and rest. Endurance often remains more resilient than strength, thanks to the preservation of slow twitch fibers and the adaptability of the cardiovascular system. Older individuals may find that they can walk long distances, garden for hours, or perform steady tasks with less difficulty than sudden, powerful actions. This endurance reflects the deep-rooted design of muscles, which are built not only for strength, but also for the quiet constancy of repeated motion. It is a gift of aging that while speed and power may fade, steadiness often remains. The symbolic meaning of muscles in aging is profound. In youth, muscles may be seen as a symbol of strength and vitality, of power and possibility. In later years, they become a symbol of resilience, of quiet endurance, of adaptation. They show that strength is not only measured by force but also by persistence, by the ability to continue moving, even in gentler ways, across the span of years. They remind us that the body, though it changes, does not cease to serve, does not cease to adapt, and does not cease to sustain life. Even as muscles age, they continue to influence posture, balance, and mobility. The core muscles, if maintained, can keep the spine upright and protect against falls. The muscles of the legs, if active, can continue to carry the body steadily. The muscles of the face and head continue to shape expression, preserving identity and connection. In every stage, muscles remain essential, their role shifting, but never disappearing. They are lifelong companions, carrying us from the vigor of youth through the grace of old age. As you reflect on aging and muscles, consider how they are at work in your own body at this very moment. They may not be as strong as they once were, or they may still carry the resilience of long practice and activity. They may repair more slowly, yet they continue to repair. They may tire more easily, yet they continue to sustain. They are not static, but changing with you, adapting to the rhythm of your life. In the next part of our journey, we will look beyond the physical changes of aging to the influence of lifestyle, exploring how activity, rest, and nourishment shape the health of muscles throughout life. For now, let the thought of aging and muscles remain as a reminder that change is natural, that resilience endures, and that muscles, like life itself, are defined not only by their strength, but also by their capacity to adapt and continue across the passing of time. 19. Muscles. Muscles and lifestyle. The condition of our muscles is shaped not only by biology and age, but also by the choices we make each day. Lifestyle, the patterns of activity, rest, nourishment, and care, plays a powerful role in determining how muscles grow, adapt, and endure. Unlike many aspects of the body that remain largely outside of conscious influence, muscles respond directly to how they are used. They grow stronger with effort, weaken with neglect, recover with rest, and sustain themselves with proper nourishment. To reflect on muscles and lifestyle is to see the close partnership between body and habit, between living tissue and daily rhythm. Activity is one of the most important influences on muscles. Muscles are designed to move, and they thrive when called upon regularly. Even simple activities such as walking, stretching, or lifting small objects engage muscle fibers, reminding them of their purpose. With repeated use, muscles adapt, adding proteins to fibers, improving blood supply, and enhancing endurance. With disuse, they weaken, shrinking in size and losing strength, a process that can occur more quickly than many realize. The contrast between activity and inactivity shows how responsive muscles are, how directly they reflect the life lived within them. Different kinds of activity shape muscles in different ways. Resistance activities, such as lifting, carrying, or pushing, encourage growth in fiber size, a process called hypertrophy. These activities place stress on the fibers, prompting repair and strengthening. Endurance activities, such as walking, cycling, or swimming, enhance the ability of muscles to sustain effort over long periods. They do this by increasing mitochondria within the fibers, expanding capillary networks, and improving oxygen delivery. Flexibility activities, such as stretching or gentle movement, maintain the length and elasticity of muscle fibers, allowing joints to move freely. Each type of activity contributes in its own way, and together they form a balance of strength, endurance, and mobility. Rest is as important as activity, for it is during rest that muscles repair and grow. After exertion, fibers may experience tiny disruptions, signals that trigger repair processes. Satellite cells fuse with fibers, adding new nuclei, and proteins are built to strengthen the structure. These processes require time, unfolding during quiet periods of recovery. Sleep, in particular, plays a vital role, as many of the body's repair mechanisms are most active during deep rest. Hormones that support growth and repair are released, and tissues renew themselves. Without sufficient rest, muscles may not recover fully, leaving them fatigued or weakened. Thus, balance between exertion and rest is essential, a rhythm of challenge and renewal. Nourishment provides the raw materials for muscle function and repair. Proteins supply amino acids, the building blocks of muscle tissue. Carbohydrates provide glucose, stored as glycogen, which fuels contraction. Fats contribute energy as well, especially during long periods of activity, and support the production of hormones that influence muscle health. Vitamins and minerals, though needed in smaller amounts, are equally essential, Calcium enables contraction, magnesium supports relaxation, and iron carries oxygen in the blood to the fibers. Hydration, too, is vital, as muscles depend on water for the chemical reactions that sustain life. In this way, every meal, every drink, contributes to the quiet renewal of muscle tissue. Lifestyle also includes the influence of posture and daily habits. How we sit, how we stand, how we move through daily life shapes the condition of our muscles. Long periods of stillness, such as sitting at a desk, may shorten certain muscles and weaken others. The hip flexors may tighten, the spinal muscles may strain, and the shoulders may round forward. Gentle movement, stretching, and awareness of posture can counteract these effects, reminding muscles of their natural balance. Even small habits, such as standing to stretch, walking short distances, or adjusting posture, contribute to the health of muscles over time. Stress and emotion also influence muscles, often in subtle ways. Tension may cause muscles, especially in the neck, shoulders, and back, to contract and hold tight for long periods. Over time, this can lead to discomfort or fatigue. Relaxation practices, deep breathing, and gentle motion can help release this tension, restoring ease to the fibers. In this way, muscles mirror the inner state, tightening with stress and softening with calm. They are not only physical tissues but also reflectors of daily experience, responsive to the mind as much as to the body. The environment in which we live also shapes muscles. A lifestyle filled with varied movement, natural walking, climbing, lifting, and stretching engages muscles in ways that artificial stillness does not. In earlier times, when life required more physical activity, muscles were naturally sustained by daily tasks. In modern life, where much time may be spent in seated positions, the environment influences not only how often we move but how muscles adapt, reminding us that lifestyle is not only individual choice but also shaped by surroundings. Social and cultural aspects of lifestyle also play a role. In some traditions, daily movement is integrated into life, whether through walking, communal activities, or practices such as yoga or tai chi. These movements are not always strenuous, but they provide continuity, keeping muscles engaged and flexible. In other contexts, more structured exercise may be required to balance long hours of stillness. Whatever the form, the principle remains the same. Muscles thrive when they are used, when they are nourished, when they are cared for. What is striking about muscles and lifestyle is how adaptable they remain throughout life. Even after long periods of inactivity, muscles can regain strength with renewed use. Even in later years, they respond to activity, growing stronger, more enduring, more resilient. This adaptability is a gift, a reflection of the body's ability to renew itself. It shows that while the past shapes muscles, the present always offers opportunity for change. Each choice, each movement, contributes to the ongoing story of muscle health. The symbolism of muscles and lifestyle is clear. They reflect the balance of life itself, between effort and rest, between nourishment and depletion, between activity and stillness. They are reminders that health is not fixed but cultivated, shaped by daily rhythms. Just as muscles grow stronger when challenged and heal when rested, so too does life grow stronger through cycles of effort and renewal. As you reflect on muscles and lifestyle, consider how your own choices are shaping them even now. Whether you are active or still, resting or moving, eating or breathing, your muscles are responding, adapting, renewing. They are partners in daily life, reflecting your habits, sustaining your actions, and adapting to your needs. In the next part of our journey, we will look to the future, considering how knowledge of muscles contributes to medicine, recovery, and health, and how understanding these living tissues allows us to care for them more deeply. For now, let the thought of muscles and lifestyle rest with you as a reminder that every day, every choice, every small action contributes to the strength, endurance, and resilience that carries you through life. 20. Muscles in medicine and health. Muscles, though often thought of simply as the tissues of motion, are far more than that. They are central to health, deeply involved in circulation, metabolism, posture, and protection. Their condition influences the body as a whole, and their care is essential for well-being. In medicine, the study of muscles is known as myology, a field that reveals the profound ways in which muscles shape not only movement but also vitality. To reflect on muscles in medicine and health is to see them as more than fibers that contract and relax, but as living tissues whose state reflects the health of the entire body. When muscles function well, they provide strength, balance, and endurance. They support the skeleton, protect joints, and maintain posture. They assist circulation by helping blood return to the heart, and they aid in respiration by sustaining the rhythm of breathing. They store energy in the form of glycogen and regulate glucose levels in the blood, playing a role in metabolism as significant as that of the liver or pancreas. They also generate heat, helping maintain body temperature. In this way, healthy muscles are not only important for motion, but for the quiet stability of nearly every system of the body. When muscles weaken or fail, however, the effects are wide-reaching. Conditions such as muscular dystrophy, in which muscle fibers progressively degenerate, reveal how dependent life is on muscular function. In these disorders, weakness spreads gradually, affecting mobility, breathing, and even the ability to swallow. Other conditions, such as myasthenia gravis, interfere with the communication between nerves and muscles, leading to fatigue and loss of control. Injuries such as strains, tears, or overuse damage can limit movement and cause pain, while long periods of inactivity can lead to atrophy. The shrinking of fibers. Each of these conditions highlights the central role muscles play in health, and each has been a focus of medicine's efforts to restore and preserve their function. Medical care for muscles often begins with prevention, guided by the knowledge that lifestyle shapes their condition. Regular activity, balanced with rest, maintains strength and flexibility, reducing the risk of injury or decline. Nutrition provides the raw materials for repair, while hydration supports contraction and relaxation. Posture and ergonomics influence muscle strain, particularly in modern life, where long hours of sitting can shorten and weaken certain groups. These preventive measures are simple, yet their impact is profound, sustaining the health of muscles across the years. When injury occurs, medicine turns to treatments that support repair and recovery. Rest, ice, compression, and elevation are often used to reduce strain and inflammation in acute injuries. Physical therapy employs gentle exercises to restore strength and flexibility, guiding the healing process while preventing further damage. In cases of severe injury, surgery may be required to repair torn fibers or tendons, restoring continuity so that muscles can once again contract effectively. Rehabilitation after such interventions emphasizes gradual, balanced use, allowing the natural repair mechanisms of the body to complete their work. Advances in medicine have also expanded our understanding of muscle disease and its treatment. Research into muscular dystrophies has explored the role of genetics, seeking ways to restore or replace missing proteins. In conditions of weakness, such as myasthenia gravis, medications can improve communication between nerve and muscle, restoring function. Therapies that enhance blood flow, reduce inflammation, or promote regeneration continue to develop, guided by the recognition that muscles are not only functional, but deeply adaptable tissues. Muscles are also central to medicine's view of overall health. Loss of muscle mass, particularly in aging, is associated with frailty, reduced mobility, and increased risk of illness. Preserving muscle is thus a cornerstone of healthy aging. With activity, nutrition, and medical care directed toward maintaining strength. In hospitals, prolonged immobility can quickly lead to muscle atrophy, making early movement and therapy essential in recovery. In this way, medicine recognizes muscles not only as tissues of motion but as guardians of vitality, whose strength supports the resilience of the body as a whole. The role of muscles in rehabilitation is profound. After illness, injury, or surgery, the path back to health often passes through the careful rebuilding of muscular strength. Physical therapists guide patients in exercises that reawaken dormant fibers, restore balance, and rebuild endurance. These exercises may begin as the simplest of motions, lifting a limb, standing, taking a step, but they mark the gradual return of independence and vitality. Muscles, once engaged, respond to these efforts, strengthening once more, adapting to the renewed demands placed upon them. The story of rehabilitation is in many ways the story of muscle resilience, of living tissue responding to care and use. Medicine also recognizes the connection between muscles and mental health. Activity engages muscles, but it also influences mood, reducing stress and supporting emotional balance. The release of endorphins during exertion creates a sense of well-being, while the rhythm of movement calms the mind. In conditions of anxiety or depression, physical activity is often recommended as part of therapy, reflecting the deep link between muscle and mind. Muscles, though physical, play a role in the wholeness of health, supporting both body and spirit. Even in end-of-life care, muscles retain their significance. Gentle movement, stretching, and positioning help maintain comfort, reduce stiffness, and preserve dignity. The presence of muscular activity, even at its most minimal, continues to support circulation, respiration, and comfort. In this way, muscles remain companions to life's final stages, serving faithfully until the end. The symbolism of muscles in medicine and health is rich. They are not only tissues of strength but of resilience, tissues that reflect the balance of care and neglect, of activity and rest. They remind us that health is not static but dynamic, a living state shaped by choices, environment, and care. Just as muscles adapt to effort, so too does health adapt to how it is tended. Muscles become mirrors of lifestyle, of age, of condition, reflecting the story of the body in their tone, strength, and endurance. As you reflect on muscles in medicine and health, consider how they are working within you even now. They are sustaining posture, guiding breath, supporting circulation, and storing energy. They are adapting to your habits, responding to your nourishment, renewing themselves in rest. They are not separate from health but central to it, companions in every aspect of life. And now, at the close of our long journey through the world of muscles, let the thought remain that they are more than fibers of flesh. They are living, enduring, and responsive, shaping not only how we move but how we live. From the smallest fibers within a sarcomere to the great muscles that carry us forward, from the vigor of youth to the resilience of age, muscles are constant companions, faithful and tireless. They serve in strength, in rest, in growth, in repair, in expression, and in health. They are part of every breath, every step, every gesture, and every heartbeat. In their quiet endurance lies the essence of life itself.